woman and injured severely two Naperville residents. Raymond Jakubiak of Naperville was flying that single-engine craft from Nashville to the Chicago area when he began experiencing engine failure. Plane caught fire after Jakubiak made an emergency landing in a field near Chabance. Passenger Dorothy Stockard of Hermitage, Tennessee died. Jakubiak and passenger Ren Jakubiak of Naperville were treated at a nearby hospital. Sentencing begins today for the 29-year-old convicted of kidnapping and killing a visiting Chinese scholar, Yingying Zhang. Brent Christensen is facing either the death penalty or life in prison without parole. The same jury that convicted him in Peoria will decide his sentence. Zhang's body has never been found. Authorities say the body of a missing Northern Illinois man has been found in Iowa. Lawrence Howlett of Sandwich was reported missing on June 8th. The Cerro Gordo County Sheriff's Office says Howlett's body was found last Friday in a pond at Camp at the Woods campground. The investigation into his death continues this morning. A Highland Park man is facing DUI and reckless homicide charges in a deadly July 4th crash in Waukegan. Police updating that case yesterday say Rudy Orihuela was driving a Ford sedan at a high rate of speed when he slammed into a tree near North Bonnybrook Lane and North Lewis Avenue. He was treated and released from an area hospital while his passenger was killed. Orihuela is free on $200,000 bond. A judge is refusing to dismiss reckless homicide charges filed against a Northern Illinois man for a 2017 crash that killed a pregnant woman and her 3 sons. Prosecutors allege Sean Wolf sped through a stop sign in Beecher, slamming into a car driven by Lindsay Schmidt and her children. In seeking a dismissal of those charges, lawyers for the 27-year-old Wolf claimed a sheriff's deputy provided misleading information to a grand jury about that crash. 5:07 on AM 560, The Answer. A plant pathogen this morning that causes an invasive tree-killing disease has been found in the state. The Illinois Department of Agriculture says the pathogen that causes sudden oak death has been confirmed in ornamental plants at 10 Walmart stores. The issue first emerged with rhododendrons at an Indiana Walmart in late May. So far, no oak trees in the state, as far as the Department of Agriculture knows, have been infected. 8 buildings designed by famed American architect Frank Lloyd Wright have been added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. They include the Guggenheim Museum in New York City and the Unity Temple now in Oak Park. Chicago suburb has the largest concentration of Wright-designed buildings, but more famous homes are in nearby Riverside, the Thomac and Avery Coonley residences. Soldier Field was soccer central last night as the men's national team prevented it from being a championship sweep for the U.S. They fell to Mexico 1-0 in the championship game of the Gold Cup. Jonathan Dos Santos took a tip pass at the top of the box and buried a left-footed shot in the 73rd minute to give El Tri the lead. Zach Steffen had 4 saves for the U.S., only managing 2 shots on target in that Soldier Field loss. Eloy Jimenez and Jose Abreu homered. White Sox beat the crosstown rival Cubs 3-1. Sox skipper Ricky Renteria says right now they have a positive frame of mind entering the second half.
We want them to know that, we've been pushing in a positive direction, and they should be proud of themselves because they are trusting each other more and doing a lot of things that you would want them to do.
Sox enter the All-Star break 42-44. The struggling Cubs 47-43. In case you're interested, the Major League Baseball Home Run Derby gets going tonight in Cleveland. The news is a service of T-Mobile, with data and texting included in over 200 countries and destinations. T-Mobile for Business keeps you connected at the corner coffee shop or cafe halfway around the world. Business is changing. Are you with them? Visit T-Mobile.com/business. 5:09, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager says the president can't win in the eyes of the left.
Their attitude is you attack the president no matter what he does. That's the left's view, period. So if he attacks Iran, the guy's a warmonger. If he doesn't attack Iran, then he's not decisive. He's not decisive. Get it?
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Individual results may vary. Exclusions apply.
But hey, I'm buying a huge flat screen TV so I can finally see it without my glasses.
Why not just get LASIK at the LASIK Vision Institute? That's what I'm doing.
My glasses and contacts are a pain. I'd love to finally get rid of these, but who can afford LASIK?
You can. Because the LASIK Vision Institute is offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. Just call 1-800-500-0251. The LASIK Vision Institute has already performed over 1 million procedures. They use the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for a fraction of what others charge. Better vision, better value. The LASIK Vision Institute. Make this the year you finally get LASIK. For a free consultation plus an extra 20% discount, call 1-800-500-0251. You'll see for free if LASIK is right for you. That's 1-800-500-0251.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his 2 business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Bastuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma. Here's to progress.
It's 5:12. Let's get an update on the roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center. In for Jim this morning, here's Alverde.
Here's a look at traffic. On the south side, an accident reported on 130th before the Bishop Ford. Congress has shut down both directions between Congress Plaza Drive and Columbus because of Taste of Chicago setup. On the Edens, we've got no delays either direction, so 19 up or down from Lake Cook Road to the Kennedy Junction. On the Kennedy, in or out, just a 20-minute drive. Eisenhower is good, 29 either way. No delays on the Stevenson right now. 55 is moving well. Dan Ryan, in or out. 15-minute trip from 95th to downtown. 57 and Bishop Ford look good. No delays on Lakeshore Drive as well. That's traffic. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
And Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast comes from our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A nice day, some clouds to start, then sun. The high today 82. Mainly clear tonight, low 63. Partly sunny tomorrow, the high 86. Clouds and sun on Wednesday, shower, thunderstorm, breezy and humid, the high 89. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Just check those temperatures officially at O'Hare, 61. It is 64 this early morning along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella, Sunday mornings starting at 8.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So hope everybody had a lovely 4th of July weekend. I know it was a little bit touch and go in Chicago. The stats from over the weekend, as far as I've seen, were
63 shot, 5 dead,
I think I see
Or is it-
66 and 62, but these are moving targets, no pun intended. So a violent weekend in Chicago, a nice night of fireworks. The city put on at Navy Pier,
Well-
annual tradition.
Do you think that event might have outgrown itself, kind of like the Gay Pride Parade? 312-642-5600. I mean, they tried to shove 100,000 people in your area, one way in and one way out at Navy Pier, unless you want to swim back. But there was 4 people were stabbed, and not off-duty, but a hired security guard yelled out, "Shots fired," for some reason, and then the stampede happened. 18 people were injured, including a pregnant woman. One woman had an asthma attack, and all these missing kids. We'll get the audio for you later, but it's so chilling, as a parent. They're on the radio going, "We have another missing kid. We have another missing kid." Like, stop. This is too much. We can't handle this.
Yeah.
They couldn't get ambulances in to help people.
Yeah,
the injured.
Yeah,
So
they shut down Illinois from like McClurg Court east to accommodate the emergency vehicles that were responding to the stampede and the general chaos, which is should come as no surprise when you had a Tribune article on Friday, how to distinguish fireworks from gunshots. It's a helpful tip in
was
Chicago.
It really a tutorial?
Appreciate that. That's a gunshot.
All right. That's
Yeah.
Now, where's the firework?
And if it's that's a little bit more of a firework. It could be a mortar, though, too. It could be a Trident missile.
And this is actually audio we took from in front of our house in Lakeview. It was Beirut. I mean, it was nonstop.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come on.
The
It sounded
drama.
like that
Oh,
the
my
whole
God.
time.
Oh, fireworks for the 4th of July weekend. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm not a firework fan.
A little
so.
overwrought. But, well, yeah, I
I've
know
seen
you're not
one
a
too
firework
many
fan, but
amputations, if you know what I mean. Well, as a reporter, every state I
Sure.
lived in, every city, it didn't matter where I lived. There was always somebody who blew off their hand.
Yeah.
One dumb, his M80 didn't go off, so he looked down the barrel. Oh, and then it went off, and then his head was gone. That was gross. That was in El Paso.
you had somebody blow off their head with an M80.
Oh yeah.
Are you sure that's not a bit of an apocryphal story?
No.
You saw the body. You saw the headless body. You saw
there when
Ichabod
it
Crane.
happened, but we were there, and the sheet was over, and there was blood splattered everywhere, like a smashed pumpkin. I'm sorry, but I can't even.
Did he
stand
have the
sparklers.
M80 in his mouth?
No, there was no head. It was like.
You can't blow off you can't blow off your head with an M80 if you have it in your hand.
Well, no, it wasn't in his hand. It was down. He lit it, and he looked down because it didn't ignite. So he's looking at it like this, and it burst.
Well,
and
okay, yeah. If he looked at it like here, like
Well,
what is this thing? And he's looking
well,
at
maybe
it
it
2
was.
inches.
It was one of those big. I don't know, whatever it was. I just
M80
cannot
is a quarter
stand-
stick of dynamite for kids like our producer Justin, who are too young to remember those
oh.
days where you drop an M80 down the sewer, or you have
maybe-
bottle rocket fights with your friends, Roman candle fights with your friends.
Maybe Dan Proft took part
Sure,
in
of
this.
course.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just doesn't. I'm not a big firework fan, so I can't stand even hearing them.
Okay, but
regardless,
they didn't come
I
as
was
a
worried
surprise.
about your safety at Navy Pier.
Yeah, right. Because I was out there.
Well, no, but you were in your tower looking. Did you see any? Were you at home? Were you watching the fireworks show?
Navy Pier might as well be in Eastern Europe, as far as I'm concerned. Unless I'm going there escorted by a phalanx of security to see a play at Shakespeare, I don't go there, and I'm squirreled away in my ivory tower. I mean, all that doesn't exist. So no, I don't. It doesn't register at all.
I mean, but Lori Lightfoot, they have to learn from this situation. They have to. No, you
Learn
can't.
what?
You got to move it back to Grant Park or somewhere where there's more space and it's easily.
Oh, because
accessible.
we've never had a chaotic situation at Grant Park.
No, we didn't.
You
Or
you put 1 million people on the lake, particularly in these times, and this is almost invariably what you're going to get, which is why you saw, if you were downtown at all this weekend, an overwhelming show of force from police in the tourist areas, Michigan Avenue, Navy Pier, to some extent even going a little bit northwest into Old Town because there was some violence up there over the weekend.
Yeah, and violence in Humboldt Park, and it was just a really nasty weekend. But they need to do something, or just not have a fireworks show at all. Send people to Evanston, or send people to Great America. They had a nice fireworks.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
display.
we're gonna bus. You know what we're gonna do? Let's bus a couple million people up to Gurnee from the city.
What should they do? At Grant Park, at least it was more accessible for ambulances and police officers. If you shove, 10 pounds of what in a 5-pound bag, you're not going to be able to get in and out easily. There's no way to do it.
All right, Jim from Gary has an M80 update for us. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer, Jim.
Good morning, you two. Hey, it's artillery mortar shell that she's talking about. When a guy lit it, it didn't go off, and he stuck his face over it, and it ignited, blew his damn head off.
Well, that's a little bit different. Yeah, thanks for the
Okay.
call, Jim. Yeah, that's a little bit more firepower. Yeah, he's scaring the kids out there playing with their M80s. I remember this kid. This is like what your parents tell you, like those black cats. If you like that lady finger and you leave it in your hand, you're just gonna blow your arm clean off. Come on. You're probably
I'm
afraid of
even
the little
afraid-
snap things too.
Oh, I hate those things. And I hate sparklers. Sparklers can burn your.
Oh,
And it could also ruin a man.
you can put an eye out too if you stick a lit sparkler in your eye. I mean, any safety tips
That's
from
why
Amy
they're
Jacobson.
illegal
Yeah.
here in Illinois.
Yeah, but
So
not
that's
in
why everybody
Indiana
goes-
and Wisconsin
Right.
where people can somehow manage to. You're just
Crazy Kaplan.
You know what this is? This is a function of. It's a function of network affiliate newscasts, and your mind has been rotted by that because you
Yes,
had
it
to do
has.
these absurd stories of some Darwin Award nominee who can't play with black cats safely, and so you think that's like some
I have
sort of
PTSD.
epidemic. Yeah.
No, I do. I have 4th of July PTSD.
PTSD.
PTSD. I can't. I don't want to hear any fireworks. I don't want to be around them. I don't want my kids to purchase any of them. They're so sick of me. They're like, oh, another news story. When I worked in blah, blah, blah. They have the whole spiel down.
Yeah, another news story. Some of them turn out even to be true.
Check it out. I took 10 M80s and stuck them all together. I call it bunker busting mega ultra super.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
My name is David Hochberg. If you'd like to pay off debt, call Team Hochberg now about a cash-out refinance. During May, Team Hochberg helped listeners access $953,000 to pay off credit cards, student loans, car loans, medical bills, collections, and IRS tax liens, which saved them close to $19,000 a month. Since January, Team Hochberg has saved listeners over $74,000 a month, which is an annualized savings of over $888,000. What are you waiting for? Call Team Hochberg now to see if we can help you pay off debt and substantially reduce your monthly payments with a cash-out refinance. Think of all the things you could do with an extra $500, $1,000, or $1,500 a month that you'd be saving. Call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Hey, take control of your income and your future. Of course, I'm talking about Online Trading Academy. They're the leader in trading and investing education with courses offered throughout the Chicagoland area, including places like East Peoria, Valparaiso, and Lombard. With Online Trading Academy, you can learn about ways to generate income and protect your retirement. I signed up to take a free class at the Lombard Academy, and I was very impressed with what I experienced. I learned about the markets, Dan, and how to trade. The instructor was incredibly knowledgeable. He was funny, approachable, and he really did a good job to explain to us their patented trading strategy. After my experience, I really recommend that you give it a try. Sign up for a free introduction class, and I'm sure you'll walk away with a new understanding of trading the markets. Here's the number to call, 844-778-7132. That's 844-778-7132 to attend and get 2 free passes to their next class so you can try it for yourself. And guess what? If you call right now, they'll send you home with their professional Insider's Kit. It's full of exclusive investing courses and some of their best lessons from the pros. Seats go quickly, so once again, call 844-778-7132. That's 844-778-7132, or visit them online at otaclass.com.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
No matter how well you provide for your family today, if you don't have life insurance, their future may be at risk. Think about what would happen if you were gone. Would they struggle to pay the bills and face an uncertain future? They don't have to. You can help guarantee those you love $200,000, $500,000, $750,000 or more with life insurance through AIG Direct. We'll help you get more for your money, up to 70% more. For a free quote, call 1-800-900-1303. Just look, you could get $250,000 of term life coverage for as little as $14 a month. It's no wonder millions of people rely on AIG companies. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation. Make the future more secure for those you love. Call now so you can sleep better at night. For a free quote, call 1-800-900-1303. That's 1-800-900-1303. 1-800-900-1303.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
When I wasn't taking it and I was waiting for my operation, I was feeling very tired. Now I'm driving like 11, 12 hours a day. I told you I manage 15 gas stations. And I have so much energy. I even gave some of my pills for my son, and he said, Dad, this is good, so I like it. I'm healing so fast. It's like amazing. My family is so surprised because my wound closing up and doing so good. So that is working now that I'm start taking my those fruits and vegetables.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, you can receive a 30% discount and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about 4th of July in Chicago. Sure nobody was wearing their Betsy Ross cleats here, unlike Bryce Harper for
Right.
Giants.
I saw what you tweeted out.
Yeah, how about that? That was great.
Good for him.
We'll do a little bit of a cap World Cup Bryce Harper update, but I wanted to close out Chicago, too. This was interesting. Last week we talked about this. Everybody was so aghast at graffiti. The Bean was tagged.
Oh, I know. I mean, that was more important to Lori Lightfoot than the 52 people who were shot, 4 killed the weekend before. I mean, the hyperbole, like, this cannot happen in our Chicago.
The two arrested, both 20 years old.
Knuckleheads.
Neither one of them have a criminal record.
No.
One was not even charged with painting on the sculpture, tagging it. He's accused of spray painting a nearby bench. But Cook County Judge David Navarro.
Did he throw the book at him?
He, quote, takes offense at these offenses, these crimes that were alleged. He's offended.
Oh, no. Now we've done it.
He ordered both held on $10,000 bail.
What?
Mm-hmm. And
that's a lot for your first offense, and you're just spraying the bean. And they also sprayed the cancer survivors wall at Maggie Park.
Our friends over at CWB Chicago put this in some context, which they're good at doing, and the regular big government press corps in Chicago is not. Some other people whose alleged crimes, based on their bail amounts, didn't offend Judge Navarro nearly as much as these two who tagged the bean. Jonathan Bustos, 22, charged with aggravated battery of a police officer and resisting arrest. He pushed an officer from behind, then spit in the cop's face at the Belmont Red Line station following the Pride Parade the previous Sunday.
Another reason to move it downtown.
18-year-old Tavante Fox, possession of a loaded .357 Magnum near the intersection of Michigan and Chicago Ave. Charged with felony unlawful use of a weapon. He was bonded out on his own recognizance.
Now, who is more dangerous, that guy with a .357 mag or a kid with a can of white spray paint?
31-year-old David Galvin, arrested on the 3200 block of North Halstead shortly after the Pride Parade. Police said they saw him pushing people into barricades, flailing his fists, striking passersby, causing others to run from the area. Officer tackled Galvin, then allowed him to sit up and explain what happened. At that point, Galvin struck the cop in the leg.
Well, come on.
Another officer punched in the groin and kicked in the knee, while a third was headbutted in the knee, causing him to fall. Galvin is charged with 2 counts of aggravated battery of police officers, reckless conduct, criminal damage to property, and resisting police. His bail was set at $5,000. 60-year-old John Rhodes, South Bend, carrying an open bottle of Jack and a loaded handgun in the 1200 block of West Lunt.
Don't start with me. I know what it rhymes with.
Sure.
Well, come on now.
Yeah.
Paulina. What?
That's right.
Well, I live
And Malvina.
Exactly.
Rhodes charged with felony unlawful use of a weapon and having alcohol in the public way.
Wait, what was his bond? Was it recognizant bond?
ROR, yeah.
See, our system is so messed up.
Shiknoli
Our
Smith,
priorities are out of line.
25, charged with felony aggravated battery of a police officer after she allegedly spat bloody saliva into a cop's mouth.
Ew!
Following the Pride Parade.
Those are all reasons right there. Every single Pride Parade arrest, yet other examples of why we need to move that blank show downtown like every other parade. I am so sick of it.
She was bail set at $1,000 by Judge David Navarro.
Same judge.
So felony possession, illegal possession of guns, violence directed at police officers, felonious activity, allegedly, all less bail than the two taggers. Because why? Because it was a public spectacle. Because it was in the news. Because
it made national news.
Right.
I mean, it was in the A block.
Because it's about tourism in Chicago. It's about money in Chicago. Cops, guns.
I tell you,
all the jabbering on about guns.
And a bottle of Jack and a gun, and he gets a recognizant bond over a can of white spray paint.
I'll tell you what. Moral indignation from a Cook County judge is like fat shaming from J.B. Pritzker. I mean, it just has no place.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Did you see the big game? Did you watch the big game? White Sox defeat the Cubs at 5:38.
Oh, and the real game, Dan, later, back-to-back championships, and also boycotting Starbucks. First, let's, get into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
61 degrees. Search is underway this morning for a 17-year-old South Bend boy who went missing in Lake Michigan over the weekend in northwest Indiana. Raheem Mason was swept away from his church group late Saturday night at Washington Beach Park in Michigan City. Scientists from the University of California at San Diego say not to worry. It's not the big one just yet. The seismologists tried to ease public concerns that two earthquakes that hit near Ridgecrest, California last week could trigger a catastrophic tremor on the southern San Andreas Fault.
We will now move into the recovery process. However, we will still continue to actively patrol and keep our community safe.
That's Ridgecrest Police Chief Jeb McLaughlin, who said it doesn't matter whether it's on the fault or not. It shook up everyone in that town. The Ridgecrest tremors are too far away, according to the experts, from the San Andreas Fault to be a threat of the 7.9 or larger quake that would rupture the fault. Another Democrat may be joining the crowded race for the White House. Get ready for the next 24 hours as California environmentalist and hedge fund billionaire Tom Steyer, who previously said he's not running in 2020, says he may do so. Steyer, according to Politico, plans to officially launch his campaign tomorrow. Georgia sheriff deputy is dead. It happened late last night when the shots were fired at the Hall County sheriff's deputies who was trying to stop a stolen car. The alleged gunman was injured, taken to the hospital. An investigation continues. A huge fish kill. The result of last week's fire at a Jim Beam distillery. Millions of dead fish floating on the Kentucky River, and that plume of alcohol is headed for the Ohio and then for the Mississippi. It's shaping up to be a busy few days for the House Oversight Committee. This week, the Democrat-controlled committee plans to hold hearings on immigration detention conditions. No one in custody here in Chicago after a pregnant woman and a man were stabbed in Chicago's Loop. A group of 6 was waiting for a ride share on East Washington Street when an unknown vehicle pulled up, offered a ride. An argument ensued. Fight broke out. 2 of the victims standing on the street were stabbed. This morning, a woman is in stable condition after falling 40 feet last night at Soldier Field. Police say the victim fell from an upper levels part of the stadium. as the U.S. and Mexico faced off in the finale of the Gold Cup soccer tournament. Sox beat the Cubs 3-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Sox enter the All-Star break at 42-44, a big improvement over last year's 29 games out at this time, while the struggling Cubs are at 47-43. 5:35 is our time. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees retaliation from the president.
The shooting down in international waters of a drone, an American drone, by Iran. I know a lot of people expected the loose cannon, Donald Trump, to race out there and go out and bomb them to smithereens. Oh, I think a response is coming, by the way.
I have no doubt a response is coming.
But it will be on his time.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5. On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and I've got a quick, cost-effective way to protect and grow the value of your home this summer. Call the professionals at CertaPro Painters for interior and exterior painting. They painted the first floor of my home last year, and every time someone walks in, they always say, gosh, your house looks so much bigger. That's because one of their color specialists helped me pick out the perfect color. So boost your curb appeal this summer with a fresh coat of paint while protecting it from the heat, storms, and insects. Be proud to show off your house to your friends and neighbors. Their summer calendar has a few spots available, so secure yours now. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Hey, my friend's retail store was the victim of IoT password theft.
Yep. Cyber criminals are taking over security cameras, payment systems, and other IoT devices by exploiting vulnerabilities.
What if they target us and our dispersed network?
We're secured with Barracuda. We have advanced firewalls for our sites, enhanced security for our cloud infrastructure, and total email protection.
Such a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents.
And Doug.
If I don't find the right car insurance for me, I might just give up.
Did someone just say, if I don't find the right car insurance for me, I might just give up? Ma'am, what if my partner, this wild emu, and I told you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need?
I'd say sign me up for Liberty Mutual. And also, your emu is eating my tire.
Limu! No. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Equal housing insurer. State laws apply.
Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads. AM 560 traffic center time. And in for Jim, here's Al Verde.
Here's a look at traffic on the Edens. No delays. A 19-minute trip either way from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Kennedy in or out moving well, just 20 minutes between downtown and O'Hare. Now the westbound O'Hare extension slows just a little bit between River Road and the Tri-State. On the Eisenhower, it's 29 in or out from 390 to the Circle. No delays there. Stevenson inbound a little tight between Cicero and Pulaski. 35 in from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 25 in from the Tri-State. Outbound, no delays. Dan Ryan in, touches brakes from Roosevelt to the Burns Circle. 16 in between 95th and downtown. 57 and Bishop Ford moving well. That's traffic. I'm Al Verde. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Nice day ahead. A few clouds, but mostly sunny. High 82. Clear and crisp overnight. Low 63. 61 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
Open wide for some soccer! The Continental Soccer Association is coming to Springfield. It's all here. Fast kicking, low scoring, and ties. You bet.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see all your favorite soccer stars like Arriaga, Arriaga 2, Bariaga, Aruglia, and Pizzoza. This match will determine once and for all which nation is the greatest on earth, Mexico or Portugal.
That's my favorite line. So yesterday we determined that the most powerful nation on earth, it was between the United States and the wooden shoes of the Netherlands. And the United States still the most powerful nation on earth, I'll have you know.
Well, 2 years in a row, we've won the World Cup. It was a big deal. Did you see?
Two cups in a row.
2 cups in a row. 2 cups in a row. Yeah.
It's not an annual event.
Well, two cups in a row. FIFA World Cups.
Penalty.
Exciting. Penalty. And now, the penalty kick is Megan Rapinoe. We're on the board first.
Milestone goal for Rapinoe. Goal number 50 for her. She's the leader now in the Golden Boot race. Mewis. Lavelle. Rose up the middle. Looking. Cutting. Shooting. Goal. Lavelle. 2-0 U.S.
And that was the action you got after, almost 2 hours. That's 2 hours worth of soccer highlights right there.
I watched it so you didn't have to, and so in 32 seconds, that was it.
I noticed a lot of the fans in Paris were dressed up as empty seats.
What do you mean? Oh, there was a lot of Americans there, and then
There were a lot of empty seats. Did you not see this?
Well, 60,000 people, they said, were there or bought tickets. Maybe all of them didn't show up, but a lot of Americans. I know a few Blaine kids that went there to cheer on the girls.
That's nice.
Soccer team. And the Dutch were outnumbered by the Americans, I think. They were. If you looked at the stadium, the people wearing orange and the people wearing red, white, and blue.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a good thing that they played the Netherlands instead of having to run into that under-15 boys team from Dallas, because that could have been a problem for the women's national team.
Tell people the story, because my boys tell me the story all the time. A 15-year-old team.
Yes, under 15, Dallas boys soccer team beat that team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was a travel team. It wasn't like a regular high school team or middle school team. They were the best of the best from Dallas.
Sure. Good thing.
I understand that.
Good thing they didn't run into them. So that's.
But that doesn't take away. That was exciting. I mean, I watched 3 matches.
It's riveting.
It was good.
Yeah.
And I made all the boys watch. And then Megan Rapinoe, what's her last name? Yeah, Rapinoe, who's Rapinoe, who has now
You're a big fan. You're following it so much that the MVP of the World Cup, you don't know how to pronounce her last name.
She did get the Golden Boot for scoring 50 goals.
Is it the Golden Boot? Is that the name of it?
No, it's a Golden Boot.
Is that what they call it?
It's the Golden Boot. She got the Golden Boot. It's a shoe that was.
I saw what it is. I don't know the name of the award because I don't care.
She received 2 awards, MVP and the Golden Boot.
The Golden Boot. Why would they name it the boot? Isn't it a shoe?
It's a soccer shoe that's encased in gold.
I think everyone is ready for this conversation to move to the next step. I think we're done with are we worth it? Should we have equal pay? Is it, is the markets the same? Yada, yada. Everyone's done with that. I mean, we put on,
you're done with that,
all players, I'm saying, every player at this World Cup, put on the most incredible show that you could ever ask for. We can't do anything more.
And then they went to the after party at Colin Kaepernick's place. Megan Rapinoe, you're talking about markets. I mean, I hate to do this, but since she's been so smug,
I know,
and she's politicized the World Cup so much, it's difficult for me to root for her. I mean, I always want America to win, but really take something away from it because of her really vulgarity, and her girlfriend's too, by the way. We mentioned that on Wednesday, the piece that her girlfriend, who's a WNBA player, wrote in the Players Tribune.
It's probably the most non-patriotic USA team that's been there because they've been led under Megan.
And they also kicked off the team, one of the best players in the world, because she was a Christian. We talked about that on Wednesday as well. So, I got a problem with that. And so since she wanted to bring up markets and all this fair pay.
Equal pay, yes.
Yeah, equal pay bull jive. Let's talk about markets, Megan.
Well, President Trump's looking at it.
Looking at what?
This equal pay issue. He was actually asked about that yesterday in New Jersey.
I would like to see that. Now, you also have to look at numbers. Because when you look at World Cup soccer, that's one thing, and you also have to look at soccer, professional soccer. You have to see who's taking in what. So I don't know what those numbers are. I would like look at the great stars of the men's soccer, the great stars of the women's soccer, and you have to see year-round how are they all drawing.
Yeah, well, that's right. So let's
that
talk.
was a very sound answer. I
Let's
love
talk about the market. Let's put some numbers to what the president is saying so you understand this. So when your dingbat friends
screaming equal
prattle on about equal pay, you can tell them, oh, boy, I guess, markets are real unfair. Markets are misogynistic. Markets being people. People and where they choose to direct their interest and their dollars. It's a bit different, men versus women. I hate to break it to you. These are the numbers. Women's 2019 World Cup prize money, $30 million. Men's 2018 World Cup, $400 million.
Ooh.
For revenue, women's estimate for 2019 World Cup, $131 million. The revenue generated by the women's 2019 World Cup.
Okay.
The revenue generated by the men's 2018 World Cup, $6 billion.
$6 billion? Ooh, that's a lot different than 131 million.
So maybe now you'll have some way to inform and consider these silly, fact-free, emotional arguments made by silly, fact-free, emotional people. Children, really, is what I'm talking about.
All right, I'm going to arm myself with these numbers. Women's revenue of 2019, 131 million. Men's revenue for the World Cup 2018, $6 billion.
Yeah. So should that...
those numbers should factor into how much money they're receiving.
Yeah, you would think. Right. Yeah, that's how economics
And they're
going
to have their parade. They're not being treated any differently. Bill de Blasio, they're going to have a parade in New York tomorrow for him.
Yeah.
Tape parade.
That's great. Oh, and by the way, I mean, as Bill de Blasio famously said, we have got plenty of money in this country. It's just in the wrong hands. So we'll see what he has to say. Maybe he'll
shell out,
confiscate somebody else's money to give to Megan Rapinoe and the girls. A good point here where I got this data made by this tweeter. Media outlets keep comparing the U.S. women's team and the U.S. men's team, but the comparison makes no sense with an international sport. U.S. women's team takes a higher percentage than their equivalent on the men's side. So, I mean, just a little bit of context to all the hysteria. And since Megan Rapinoe, and the girls, I guess, won't be going to the White House. I doubt they'll receive an invitation after all the controversy.
Well, they are going to go to Congress. Oprah? No, Nancy Pelosi invited them, and they've accepted.
That's great. Go hang out with the Socialist Spice Girls. Fine. Do whatever you want. Don't care. But, I mean, on this 4th of July weekend, there was a lot of controversy surrounding patriotism, not just because of Megan Rapinoe, but also because of the continuing fallout from and Nike spokesman Colin Kaepernick's decision to pull the Betsy Ross flagged sneakers that Nike had unveiled. Did you see this? The Tennessee Smokies, which is a Chicago Cubs minor league team.
Oh, it was awesome.
Took a shot at Kaepernick. They drew the 13-star symbol on their infield Wednesday and then tweeted images of it. Hey, Cap, after a lot of thought, we've decided it's best to just do it. #America, said the tweet. That was great right up until they got static, and then they deleted the tweet and said, issued a statement. We didn't mean to offend anyone by it. If it did, we certainly apologize.
It's cute. I mean, they raked the Betsy Ross flag in the infield there, and I thought it was cool, but apparently people higher up at the Chicago Cubs, because they own this team too, decided that it wasn't in their best interest, and they deleted the tweet.
Betsy Ross, an abolitionist. Okay, yeah, she's a stain on American history. So says Colin Kaepernick, and so Colin Kaepernick says, and so shall his will be done. What a bunch of pansies. But that's what the big corporations are.
But I love this. On Wednesday, social media also pointed out to Nike that they either ignored or were unwilling to acknowledge the famed flag, which was featured during Barack Obama's second inaugural. Did you see this? You have the Betsy Ross flag, then two different flags, and then the Betsy Ross flag. Did you see this, Stan?
Yeah, I saw
it.
I mean, so what?
So now they've decided, because of one loudmouth, one unpatriotic fool decides that it offends him because the flag was made during the slavery era, that we're going to just erase history.
There's
change things
there's
when the
more
flag
to-
has been embraced by African Americans in the past.
There's more to it than that. Of course, things that are being said by the Democrat Socialists today, all of them, were said by no one during Obama's presidency. No one. Now they're all saying it. It's how fast socialism can move if you're not careful. It can go from a stroll to, I don't want to say sprint, but certainly a brisk walk. That's where it's going, particularly if we indulge them and put one of them in the White House, for example. So that's what's happening. With respect to the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, though, it was interesting. Bryce Harper's cleats. Bryce Harper, the newly minted $330 million outfielder for the Phillies.
I think he needs more money.
He wore Betsy Ross sneakers or cleats this weekend, and it's just interesting the contrast. So Bryce Harper, on the one hand, is sort of commemorating and celebrating a nation where he can sign a $330 million contract to play baseball, whereas Colin Kaepernick is celebrating a murderous dictator who banned professional sports less than a year after taking power in Cuba. And Nike is siding with the sort of junior league Marxist who pays tribute to a murderous dictator who banned professional sports. Work the logic of that. It's difficult, but it's more than just Colin Kaepernick and all that. This is all about hating on America. And you saw it from all of the outlets and all of the lead Marxists. Teen Vogue. Teen Vogue's at it again. Your girls, you want to pay attention to Teen Vogue in addition to all their graphic sexual content? A slew of articles this weekend. Racism and patriotism go hand in hand. Mentioned the American anthem, right? The Star Spangled Banner. Francis Scott Key owned slaves. Got to get rid of the Star Spangled Banner. Another Teen Vogue article. You can't separate America's present beauty from its violent past. This Independence Day, wrote the author of that piece, I'll be watching the sky, enjoying the lights, the warmth of being surrounded by my family and friends, yet all the while keeping close the knowledge of all the crimes this nation has committed. Members of Congress, Ayanna Pressley, one of the Socialist Spice Girls, tweeting out an article, The 4th of July's Ugly Truth, the Declaration of Independence is sexist, racist, and prejudiced. Yeah. Both Tlaib and just Tlaib, I should say. She forwarded Presley's post on that, and I know Tlaib had much to say over the weekend too about this nation.
You know, people like us, people like me and Ayanna, Ilhan, and Alexandria, we're reflective of our nation in many ways. But many of us didn't run to be first of anything. But more people like us have been missing in the halls of Congress. More people like us, people of color, have been missing in the chamber because most of us, and Ayanna Pressley says it more beautifully, people that are closest to the pain need to be at the table making these decisions. Guess what? We know what it feels like to be dehumanized. We know what it feels like to be brown and black in this country. And I'll tell you right now, we're not going to stand by and sit idly by and allow brown and dark-skinned children to be ripped away from their parents, to be dehumanized, to feel like...
What would you say to Nancy Pelosi? What would you say directly to Nancy Pelosi?
Honor the fact that we are there, that 650,000 people are represented by each and every single one of us, that there is some sort of, I think, in many ways, something special about having a refugee, having a woman that, you know, has experienced alone what incarceration has done to her family, right? All of us have these experiences that I think have been missing in the halls of Congress. Honor that, respect that, put us at the table. Let's come up with a solution together. But there is a better approach. They passed something out of the House. Still, I will not support anything that is broken and that dehumanizes people. But guess what? Mitch McConnell sent you back something that was worse. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, all you could do is focus on him. Uplift the women, especially the women of color within your caucus that are out there, because I'll tell you, more people like us, more people like me that come out to vote, we win. All of us win.
Well, that's going to be the choice come November 2020, isn't it? Whether you're going to embolden the socialist Spice Girls or you're going to make sure America wins.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, if your roof's needy, you can
Call Crumweedy.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. If your roof is leaky, if the shingles are curling, or if your roof isn't right after storms, then you need to call Crumweedy with roofing companies. And the difference is, of course, installation. Now, Crumweedy, they know that, and that's why they follow the manufacturer's specifications, so your warranty is totally intact. And many companies don't do that, and that could void your warranty. If you hate high-pressure sales tactics, not from Crumweedy. They give you good, better, best options. You make the choice, no pressure. Crumweedy is a roof that lasts at a fair price. Now, Mark Olson and Greg Olson of Crumweedy, they lead this third-generation family business that's been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953. Now, they fix roof problems, so if your roof is needy,
Call Crumweedy.
That's 630-595-8020. That's 630-595-8020. They're online, of course, at myroofisneedy.com.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
When I wasn't taking it and I was waiting for my operation, I was feeling very tired. Now I'm driving like 11, 12 hours a day. I told you I manage 15 gas stations. And I have so much energy. I even gave some of my pills for my son, and he said, Dad, this is good, so I like it. I'm healing so fast. It's like amazing. My family is so surprised because my wound closing up and doing so good. So that is working now that I'm start taking my those fruits and vegetables.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, you can receive a 30% discount and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Hey guys, Ken here from Income Store. Did you know of the top 10 reasons an employee stays at a company for more than 2 years? The 7th reason is the pay or the salary. The first 6 reasons have nothing to do with money. Things like they feel part of a team, they know they belong, their voice is heard, they're respected. Also, employees go through 5 phases within a couple days to 6 months of any new position. Excitement, education, reality, doubt, then clarity. Did you know it's a manager's job to walk them to clarity as fast as possible? If you need to know these fundamental principles, did I just say that? I'm going to leave that in. If you need to know these fundamental principles, I can't say this. This is awesome. This is like a blooper roll. Hey, you know what? If you need tips and techniques like this to grow your business today, you got to check out door number 1 of Income Store. If you just need somebody to literally hold your hand and get you to the finish line, check out door number 2 of IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
Hey.
Hey, Bench, what are you doing?
I'm rubbing my Blue Emu on.
Well, you ready to go fishing?
Fishing?
You said we were going fishing this morning.
I have 10 Gold Glove awards.
Oh, here we go again.
Johnny Bench doesn't go fishing.
Yeah, I know.
Johnny Bench goes catching. Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu. It works fast and you won't stink. Available at nationwide retailers and Amazon.
Have you heard what President Trump said recently?
Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too.
Now you can watch Newsmax TV and get the truth about Trump from Bill O'Reilly, Mike Reagan, Alan Dershowitz, Pat Buchanan, and more. Newsmax TV is America's fastest-growing cable news channel, now in 70 million homes. Find Newsmax on DirecTV, Dish, Xfinity, Spectrum, Optimum, Fios, Uverse, and more systems. See Newsmax TV today. It's real news for real people.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
A congresswoman is sending office staff to help illegal immigrants get into this country. Gosh, I wonder what she would tell the Cottrell family in Bloomington. We'll have their story and hers at 6:06.
And who is that snowflake who got 5 Tempe police officers kicked out of a Starbucks? And later, Dan bye-bye bikini baristas. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
5 killed, over 60 wounded in shootings over the 4th of July long holiday weekend. The NTSB investigates a plane crash in Iroquois County. White Sox top the Cubs. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
They're not giving up. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump still wants the citizenship question on the 2020 census, and he has new lawyers working on it. Fox's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Dave, there's a new legal team working on the census fight at the Justice Department as President Trump mulls over options for adding the citizenship question to the census. Speaking at Joint Base Andrews on Sunday, the president said one option is issuing an executive order.
We are moving forward. We have a couple of avenues, and our Attorney General is doing a fantastic job in many ways.
In a statement, a Justice Department spokesperson thanked lawyers who have been working on the issue and said she's confident the new team will carry on in the same exemplary fashion. Dave?
Rachel, a British trade minister will apologize today to Ivanka Trump in Washington for leaks that came out of the UK ambassador to the U.S. critical of the Trump administration being dysfunctional and inept. The president told reporters before returning to the White House yesterday,
We're not big fans of that man, and he has not served the UK well.
Now, Britain's foreign secretary says they're investigating how those leaks happened. Joe Biden says he's sorry for all the negative reaction he's gotten for recently saying when he was in the Senate he was able to work with segregationists to get things done.
If any comments I made were taken in a way that people took offense from them, then I am truly sorry for that. That was not my intention.
Former Vice President Biden in Charleston, South Carolina, after attending services at an African Methodist Episcopal church. A sheriff's deputy gunned down in Georgia last night after a stolen car chase led to a wreck. Then people got out and started shooting. The deputy died at a hospital. One suspect was also shot and wounded. Others remain on the run.
Don't have any suspect description right now. Don't have an exact number, but they're still out searching.
Hall County Sheriff spokesman Derek Booth. This is Fox News.
Sunrise in Chicago, 61 degrees, 6:02 is our time. On AM 560, The Answer, and a pleasant good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Search continues for a 17-year-old South Bend boy who went missing in Lake Michigan and northwest Indiana. Raheem Mason was swimming with his church group at Washington Beach Park in Michigan City when he was swept under by the strong currents. No one is in custody after a pregnant woman and man were stabbed in Chicago's Loop. It happened late Saturday night in the first block of East Washington. One woman who was stabbed remains hospitalized in critical condition. A woman in stable condition after tumbling 40 feet at Soldier Field. Police say the victim fell from an upper level of the stadium last night as the U.S. and Mexico faced off in the finale of the Gold Cup soccer tournament. Chicago police dealing with another violent 4th of July weekend while the numbers are still being tabulated. At least 5 people were killed and more than 60 people were wounded in shootings since the beginning of the long July 4th holiday. Sentencing begins today for the 29-year-old convicted of kidnapping and killing a visiting Chinese scholar, Yingying Zhang. Brent Christensen is facing either the death penalty or life in prison without parole. The same jury in Peoria that convicted him will decide his sentence. Zhang's body has never been found. A Highland Park man faces a DUI and reckless homicide charge tied to a deadly July 4th crash in Waukegan. Police say Rudy Orihuela was driving last Thursday night at a high rate of speed when he struck a tree near North Bonnybrook Lane and North Lewis Avenue. Treated and released from an area hospital, his passenger was killed. Orihuela is free on $200,000 bond. Sox beat the Cubs 3-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Fire fell to Sporting KC 1-0. Cavaliers beat the Bulls in Rookie League Las Vegas summer action. The news is a service of Ace, the helpful place. It's the 4th of July sale at Ace. Ace Rewards members get free assembly and free delivery on their top grill brands and accessories. $3.99 and up from their store right to your door. Don't miss the 4th of July sale through July 8, only at Ace. See participating stores for details. 6:04 on AM 560. That means it's time for a dry basement and a healthy home, and time to call Permaseal. 800-421-SEAL. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You're listening to AM 560, The Answer, home of 7 of the top 100 radio talk hosts in America, according to Talkers Magazine. Congratulations to Joe Walsh.
I like that.
Larry Elder.
How do you do that?
Dennis Prager.
It should be obvious.
Sebastian Gorka.
That's very interesting.
Hugh Hewitt.
I got you already.
Mike Gallagher.
Honest to goodness.
And the #1 talk show host in the country, Sean Hannity.
This is a little bit overboard.
The top talkers in America are talking right here on AM 560, The Answer.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Jesus said, "But when they shall deliver you up, take no thought how or what to speak. For it shall be given you in that hour what to speak. For it is not you that speak, but the Spirit of your Father that speaketh in you." So true. Before sending his controversial letter to the Pope, respectfully questioning trends in his pontificate, the well-known theologian Father Thomas Weinandy asked our Lord for a very specific sign that he should proceed. He received that sign, and so he proceeded. Hear the inspiring story of Father Weinandy's letter, the basis for his concerns, and the consequences that followed at the Catholic Citizens of Illinois Forum Luncheon on July 12th with Father Thomas G. Weinandy, speaking on keeping the faith in the midst of chaos. To make your reservation, go to CatholicCitizens.org. That's CatholicCitizens.org. Or call Maureen at 708-352-5834. Space is limited. Reserve now.
Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma. Here's to progress.
6:07 in the AM 560 Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Al Verde.
Here's a look at traffic. On the Edens, a 19-minute ride either way from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. The Kennedy Inn slows Cumberland to Harlem, basically. It's about 23 minutes from O'Hare into downtown. Back out to O'Hare, it's a little heavier, 35. On the Eisenhower, inbound 34 from 390 to the Circle. Still no outbound delays. Stevenson inbound 43. That's heavy central to Kedzie, and outbound is wide open. 55 northbound heavy through ongoing road work between Lorenzo and Blodgett. Things down to a single lane there. Dan Ryan inbound slows 95th to 87th, again from the Stevenson end, 22 from 95th to downtown. That's traffic. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Some clouds to start, then sunshine. Nice day. High today, 82. Mainly clear tonight with a low 63. Partly sunny tomorrow, the high near 86. Wednesday, shower or thunderstorm. It'll be breezy, the high 89. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare, 63 along the lakefront. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and we may have, in addition to the Socialist Spice Girls, that would be Tlaib, Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Ayanna Pressley. Do we have room for a fifth? She's making her case, Veronica Escobar, Democrat from El Paso.
She's Beto's replacement.
Bobby O'Rourke.
Bobby, yeah.
Yeah, sure. She reportedly sent staff, congressional staff, to Ciudad Juarez to find migrants who had been returned to Mexico from El Paso under the Remain in Mexico policy. And then the staff then coached them to pretend they cannot speak Spanish to exploit a loophole letting them to return to the United States. This is a Washington Examiner reporting. The sources include National Border Patrol Council's El Paso chapter, several Customs and Border Protection personnel they spoke with, aides to Escobar, and the local Catholic diocese have interviewed thousands of migrants in Juarez over the past few weeks to find cases where Homeland Security officials may have wrongly returned people. What we believe is happening is Veronica Escobar's office is going to basically second-guess and obstruct work already done by Border Patrol, said one senior Border Patrol union official who shared the evidence of Escobar's antics with the Washington Examiner from concerned CBP managers and rank-and-file members. A sitting congresswoman coaching people to basically commit fraud to get into this country.
She should be arrested. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA. Then a quick question. Can they arrest her?
Cory Booker down there doing the same thing, trying to facilitate asylum applications regardless of the merit. You know, on this matter of asylum, we've mentioned it before, but it bears repeating and sharing. Don't listen to, a right-wing crank like me. Oh, heavens no. How about Fareed Zakaria? How will Fareed Zakaria play in your sort of middle-of-the-road, center-left friends? Is he a crank? He doesn't like Trump. He thinks Trump's attitude toward immigrants has been bigoted. Listen to Fareed Zakaria's commentary on this matter of asylum and the need to reform our immigration laws, in this case in particular.
But first, here's my take. Given President Trump's mean-spirited and often bigoted attitudes on immigration, it pains me to say this, but he is right that the United States faces a crisis with its asylum system. Democrats might hope that the out-of-control situation at the southern border undermines Trump's image among his base as a tough guy who can tackle immigration, but they should be careful. It could actually work to the president's advantage. Since 2014, the flow of asylum seekers into the United States has skyrocketed. Last year, immigration courts received 162,000 asylum claims, a 240% increase from 2014. The result is a staggering backlog, with more than 300,000 asylum cases pending, and the average immigration case has been pending for more than 700 days. It's also clear that the rules surrounding asylum are vague, lax, and being gamed. The initial step for many asylum seekers is to convince officers that they have a credible fear of persecution in their home countries, and about 75% meet that criteria. Some applicants for asylum have suspiciously similar stories using identical phrases. Many simply use the system to enter the U.S. and then melt into the shadows or gain a work permit while their application is pending. Asylum is meant to be granted to a very small number of people in extreme circumstances, not as a substitute for the process of immigration itself. Yet the two have gotten mixed up. As The Atlantic's David Frum has pointed out, the idea of a right to asylum is a relatively recent one, dating to the early years of the Cold War. Guilt-ridden over the rejection of many Jewish refugees during World War II, the UN created a right of asylum to protect those who were fleeing regimes where they would be killed or imprisoned because of their identity or beliefs. This standard has gotten broader and broader over the years and now includes threats of gang warfare and domestic violence. These looser criteria, coupled with the reality that this is a safe way to enter the U.S., have made the asylum system easy to abuse.
And so it has been. That's Fareed Zakaria, academic, CNN host, Fareed Zakaria, GPS.
yeah.
What? So is he part of that right-wing conspiracy on immigration to keep brown people out, as the Socialist Spice Girls would have you believe? Speaking of what is not relatively recent, like the right to asylum designation, at least at the world government level. You know what's not relatively recent?
What?
A citizenship question on our census. It was on the census in this country for 130 years, 1820 to 1950. And I'm glad that we found out just before the holiday weekend that President Trump, despite the Supreme Court, John Roberts really, their decision to demand more information about the process by which the decision was made to include the citizenship question. Despite that, and the early report that Justice was walking away from a citizenship question on the 2020 census, the president is not. And he shouldn't. And the rumor is that he's going to issue an executive order to put the citizenship question on the 2020 census, and he better well do it. He absolutely should do it. He has the constitutional authority to do it. The citizenship question should be on the census per Section 2 of the 14th Amendment. And there are all kinds of reasons why this makes sense. For example, as you're trying to deal with all of these layers of issue with respect to border security. Tyler Cohen writing in Bloomberg, I want more immigrants and a census citizenship question. Tyler Cohen, econ professor at George Mason. Unlike many who push for the question, I would like to boost the flow of legal immigration by a factor of 2 or 3. Nonetheless, are we supposed to let foreigners in, which I favor, and give them a rapid path to citizenship, which I also favor, but somehow we're not allowed to ask them if they are citizens? To me, this boggles the mind. Run the logic. Don't let your antipathy for Trump poison your mind, essentially. Nothing about the citizenship, not asking about citizenship seems to signify an attitude towards immigrants, something like this. Get them in and across the border. Their status may be mixed. Their existence may be furtive. And let's not talk too openly about what is going on. And later we will try to get all of them citizenship. That's a pretty good summary of what the Democrats are doing as a way to sort of backdoor open borders because they can't get it through the front door. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Ken Cuccinelli, who is the point person effectively for the president on this topic, he's the chief immigration and citizenship officer, said, I do think it will be on the 2020 census. I think the president has expressed determination. He noted the Supreme Court didn't say that this can't be asked. They said they didn't appreciate the process by which it came forward the first time. Fine. So issue the EO. Do you agree?
I mean, the purpose of the census is to get a head count of everyone who's here. And everyone's arguing, oh, it's going to reduce the Latino participation. Well, too bad. If you're not here legally, then we might find out about it. We might not, but you have to participate in the census.
Two constitutional lawyers, David Rifkin and Gilson Gray, authored this piece in the Wall Street Journal, which provides the path for the president on his executive order. Section 2 of the 14th Amendment provides that if a state denies the franchise to anyone eligible to vote, its allotment of House seats shall be reduced in the proportion which the number of such citizens shall bear to the whole number of citizens in such state. The language is mandatory. Compliance is impossible without counting how many citizens live in each state. If the state denies the franchise to anyone eligible, its allotment of House seats shall be reduced in the proportion which the number of such citizens shall bear to the whole number of citizens in the state.
Yeah, they're saying Illinois could lose $1.2 billion over the course of 2 years.
You can't do any of it. You can't comply with the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Hey, let's bring up the Constitution. We just celebrated the birth of our nation. How about referring to the Constitution? You can't comply with the 14th Amendment if you don't count citizens. And you can't count citizens if you don't ask a citizenship question, can you? Section 2 of the 14th Amendment introduced in 1865, specifically referred to limits on suffrage based on race and color, but the Senate rejected that limitation. The amendment forbids state interference with the rights of all eligible voters. Also, it applies to every state, a point that Congressman John Bingham, the drafter of the amendment, emphasized during floor debate. The second section simply provides for the equalization of representation among all the states in the Union, north, south, east, and west. It makes no discrimination. So Rifkin and Gray suggest the president can issue an executive order saying to comply with the requirements of Section 2 of the 14th Amendment, the citizenship question will be added to the 2020 census, and he can order the Commerce Department to undertake on an emergency basis a new Census Act rulemaking. Of course, this would spur litigation and probably be leveled up to the Supreme Court during their summer recess for an emergency decision, and so be it. But the president has to take up this fight. He has to take up all of these fights. Because you know what happens when we don't control our southern border? When we don't know who's in this country, or we don't know who we're letting into this country and what their aims are. When we don't take seriously ejecting people who are here illegally and then commit another crime. People get hurt, die, lives are taken. So, I mean, I know these stories don't get the coverage that the father and daughter face down in the Rio Grande get, and that was tragic. But this is the point I've made on this show innumerable times. The human cost of this terrible public policy, dishonest public policy, open borders de facto situation is being felt on both sides of the border. The migrants who are encouraged to come, as well as American citizens, and frankly other people who may not be here legally, who are exposed to people that are reckless or violent again and again and again. This has happened in Chicago and Illinois, Sanctuary City, Sanctuary State, Central Illinois. We've talked about cases like in Muhammad, Jeannie Brady, killed by a man in this country illegally on the roads, driving the wrong way, and she was coming home from working her job as a bartender one night. We have another case, looks like, of the same sort. Corey Cottrell. Corey Cottrell, 39 years old, from Normal, Illinois, killed on June 22nd. The family, the Cottrell family, fears the driver of the van charged with striking Corey, Jose Rodriguez, age 27, will disappear into his home country of Honduras before his scheduled July 12th arraignment. Everything points to Mr. Rodriguez being in the United States illegally. Of course, there's no real interest in identifying that because Bloomington, like Chicago, is a sanctuary city. On June 25th, Thomas Funk, Cook County judge in McLean County, set bond for Rodriguez. He walked away the next day. Rodriguez's attorney argued his client was not a flight risk, even though he fled the scene of the accident. Rodriguez turned himself in to Bloomington police the day after the accident. Okay. Charged with leaving the scene of an accident involving a death, Class 1 felony, punishable by up to 15 years in jail. Also charged with driving without a license and disregarding traffic control device. Blew a stop sign, right? As of the writing of this story I'm referencing at PrairieStateWire.com, which is one of papers I'm involved with, ICE was looking into Mr. Rodriguez's citizenship status, but according to Brian McCann, friend of the show, who lost his brother Denny in Chicago to a person in this country illegally, who, after he hit and killed Brian McCann's brother...
He fled back to Mexico. They still haven't found him.
Correct. McCann cites the lack of a driver's license, never had one. Rodriguez never had a driver's license, according to prosecutors, even though he's been working in Bloomington for 5 years. Prosecutors also note that he is a citizen of Honduras, and he was using an alias. McCann makes the point that people here legally use aliases all the time. A fellow of Brian McCann's, this organization called Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crimes, AVIAC, Don Rosenberg, he's a Californian whose son was struck and killed in 2010 by a car driven by an illegal immigrant. He comments on this case, most sanctuary cities don't even look into citizenship. If they send Prince voluntarily to National Crime Information Center and ICE gets a match, well, we know he's illegal. Problem is they may not send. And if the person hasn't had any contact with ICE, there won't be a match. Even if there isn't a match, the information may not be released. The day of the accident, Corey Cottrell was driving his motorcycle to see his mother at the Bloomington Church of Christ picnic. He was wearing a helmet. He leaves behind 2 daughters, ages 11 and 14. So if this case turns out to be another example of cases that have been documented of this sort, what would we expect Representative Escobar, Representative Tlaib, Representative Schakowsky, Representative pick one on the Democrat side of the aisle, pick one in Illinois with a D next to their name? What would we expect them to do? I mean, why is the case of Denny McCann or Don Rosenberg's son, or it looks like Corey Cottrell, why is that any less tragic, interesting, noteworthy than the deaths of that father and daughter in the Rio Grande?
We didn't see a picture of it.
Okay.
We didn't see 2 corpses. We didn't see 1 corpse. That's
really
the difference.
I'm sure there's scenes from the accident site. You think the press corps, big government press corps, whether it's in Chicago or Central Illinois or D.C., has real interest in these stories?
No. It doesn't fit their agenda.
Uh-uh.
I'm not going to tell them.
It's all the hysteria surrounding conditions at the Border Patrol centers, and that's a legitimate issue. Happy to discuss them. And interestingly, so is Customs and Border Patrol. They're happy to discuss them too. Mark Morgan sat down with our friend Lara Logan. Mark Morgan is the acting director of CBP, and he responded to the allegations regarding children at these processing centers.
The children right now that are being held in Border Patrol stations, we have been sounding the alarm for a very long time to Congress. They should not be here. Those facilities were designed for adults to be held for about 12 hours and removed. They've never been designed for families or kids.
So why are there children in those facilities? Why is Border Patrol holding any children at all?
Because our laws are broke.
But they're the ones running concentration camps. They're Nazi war criminals, according to Ocasio-Cortez. This is what the law directs them to do, and this is the reality of what they're dealing with. Why are their kids there? Because they're human passports.
With Mexican cartels controlling the human traffic, the innocent are paying the highest price.
The cartels are actually renting kids to fake families because they know, grab a kid, that's like a U.S. passport in the country. And then if they make it through, they're actually taking the kid to a facilitator here in the U.S. and recycling the kid back to Mexico or the Northern Triangles to be recycled again. That's horrible. Now that we've been identifying these fake families, we're starting to hear now messages being told now, hey, look, you got to grab a kid. That's still your passport in the United States, but you may want to make sure it's your kid now.
And since October of 2018, there's been 5,000 children who've been brought across the border by people who aren't their parents. And that 5,000. And it's not a humanitarian crisis. You always talk about human trafficking. That's the worst form of human trafficking because their families are getting paid to rent their children. And also, too, another story that hit this weekend, Border Patrol agents in El Paso and ICE agents, their kids are getting bullied at school so badly that one parent had to take their kids out of the El Paso school system.
Yeah, who are the bad guys in this story? The men and women at the border having to enforce laws that don't make any sense, or the lawmakers? Bob and Lyle.
Hey, hi. You know, I've been thinking about this for years. The DACA thing is already, there's an answer for it. You don't need to have citizenship for DACA people because they have sanctuary cities that they can live in. There's no point to give them citizenship until they get that settled. And what's happened is they created a two-tier system when actually what they should have done, and it's not too late, they should have federal marshals pick up and arrest people for obstruction of justice of federal law. They should have arrested any governor, any state legislator, anybody that was involved in trying to make something other than what the United States is against our laws. And it's not too late to do that. In fact, this country will collapse because they're creating a two-tier system, one for illegals, where they have more rights than the people that actually live here. They don't pay taxes. They get free school, free medical, you name it, they get it. And then they can get into our society and do whatever they want, break our laws where our justice system is broken because of that. There's too many of these people in our jails and everything else. This needs to be done immediately, and we need to stop voting for people that are supporting this type of activity.
Thanks for the call, Bob.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Justin Amash leaves the Republican Party and is the Democrat Socialist Party leaving Joe Biden at 6:36.
And later, are you willing to dump Starbucks? But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Skies are clear. We'll have sunshine today and a beautiful summer day shaping up today and tomorrow in the forecast. At 6:31, a fatal shooting investigation is underway just outside of a bar in Harvey this morning. Shooting happened around 4 a.m. outside the Let's Play Sports Bar on Dixie Highway. Police say they're in the process of interviewing those in the bar and in the parking lot at the time of that shooting. The U.S. Court of Appeals this week will hear a challenge in the Affordable Care Act case that could end up overturning the entire law. Obamacare, you may recall, has come under frequent legal challenge since it was passed in 2010. Congress repealed fines in 2017, and a lower court ruling invalidated much of the entire law. The ruling was stayed pending appeal. If the appeals court upholds that ruling, 20 million of those covered under Obamacare could be impacted, and the case could fully end up back before the Supreme Court. This morning, a Georgia sheriff's deputy is dead. It happened late last night when shots were fired as the Hall County sheriff's deputy was trying to stop a stolen car. Politically connected billionaire Jeffrey Epstein will appear in court today to face sex trafficking charges. Epstein is accused of sexually assaulting more than 30 girls in Palm Beach, Florida, and New York State. Starbucks having to apologize after an employee asked a group of police officers to leave a Tempe, Arizona store. Customers like John Arnold spoke out, agreeing that an apology or more is warranted.
There's no apparent problem they were causing, so nobody should be asked to leave if all they're doing is just having a cup of coffee. That's what they have a right to do there.
The executive vice president of Starbucks is writing letters to the Tempe Police Department. No one is in custody after a pregnant woman and another man were stabbed in Chicago's Loop. It happened late Saturday night in the first block of East Washington Street. Chicago police are updating the numbers after another violent, long 4th of July holiday weekend. At least 5 killed, more than 68 now wounded in shootings since July 4th. Chicago sports found the White Sox beating the Cubs 3-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Sox enter the All-Star break at 42-44. Cubs enter the break sliding 47-43, a half game in front of the Brewers. The news, a service of Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma, here's to progress. 6:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is astonished by Joe Biden.
Can you fathom how desperate you have to be as a presidential candidate who sees your front-running status kind of evaporating? It's like sand through his fingers. And he literally said, when I'm president, we'll cure cancer.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
Is your old AC a clunker? Does it clunk, leak, or make weird noises? Could be it's on its way out. Luckily, the highly trained techs at your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning will replace your AC with new top-tier equipment. And isn't that what you want to hear? Right now, get big savings on a complete cooling system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Summer is here, and Matt's got the barbecue out all ready to grill. That's why he trusts Super Polygrip, so he can enjoy his steak with full confidence.
Polygrip.
Sounds like there's a party going on. But something's missing. The birthday gal's arrived. And thanks to Polydent, her bright smile is anything but a surprise.
Polydent.
Every commercial building has one. It's the first impression. It matters to people who visit your building. It matters to the people who work there. And it should matter to you. Get a quote. It's your parking lot. It speaks volumes about the commercial building and the business. Get a great parking lot. GreatParkingLots.com.
This is Kevin Berquist. My company is SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. Great parking lots. The name says it all. We make your parking lot great.
GreatParkingLots.com. Decades of experience making Chicagoland parking lots great. Great Parking Lots is an industry leader in seal coating. They use a process that not only works great, but is made to last longer. It's a good parking lot investment, and you can do business with a company that shares your values. Great Parking Lots.
I guarantee you'll have a good experience. Check it out, GreatParkingLots.com.
Commercial parking lot seal coating and maintenance. Get a great parking lot. Just remember, GreatParkingLots.com.
6:36. Let's get an update on the roads. AM 560 traffic center time. In for Jim, here's Alverde.
Here's a look at traffic. Eden's inbound, a 21-minute ride. Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction, just 19 back up to Lake Cook. Kennedy in is 27. O'Hare to downtown, 39 on the outbound side. Eisenhower in, 37 from 390. 34 back out to 390 from the Circle. Stevenson inbound 48 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Still no outbound delays. 55 northbound jams up Lorenzo to Blodgett, where it's just one lane open for ongoing road work. Dan Ryan in a 25-minute ride, just 15 back down to 95th. 57 inbound slows between 107th and Halstead. That's traffic. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. A nice day ahead, actually a nice pair of days. Clouds have parted this morning, leaving us with sunshine, a high of 82, clear and 63 overnight, and a high of 86 tomorrow, cooler lakeside. 62 right now. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Sanctuary cities, Trump-free zones, now cop-free zones, perhaps, or at least cop-free establishments. This story out of Tempe, Arizona, of 5 Tempe, Arizona police officers asked to leave a local Starbucks.
Yeah, it was on the 4th of July of all days, and they were about to start their shift, so they went to their local Starbucks where the barista actually knows them. The manager of the store knows a few of them. And one of the employees came up to him and said, hey, can you leave because you're making some of our customers feel uncomfortable? And they're all sitting there. They had ordered their drinks.
Unsafe.
Well, yeah, unsafe, uncomfortable.
Oh, please use the terminology.
Okay, and then he said, and if you don't leave, at least can you just move out of sight so that they can't see you? And the 5 officers with the one civilian officer that was with them, 2 of them served our country. and almost died for our freedoms. And it's unbelievable. The captain of their police union has come forward and mentioned this.
2 of them are veterans, one having served over 20 years in the military. And especially on July 4th, it was pretty upsetting to have that request made.
And now there's this whole dump Starbucks, boycott Starbucks movement because they wouldn't be treated this way at Dunkin' Donuts. And what I want to know is who's the little snowflake who didn't feel safe? Why aren't they exploiting that person? And why are we kowtowing to little snowflakes? I mean, Tempe's where Arizona State's located, so the chances that it's possibly a college student are pretty high. But since when? I mean, they had this training, remember, when they shut down 8,000 plus U.S. stores for racial bias education? Well, what about the police officers who are protecting us on a daily basis? What are their rights in public? And I shame on Starbucks for doing this. And I think Starbucks should pay those police officers, just as they paid those 2 Philadelphia men who were kicked out of the store a few years ago for not ordering anything. At least these officers paid for something. They were paying customers. They had been there before, and they kicked them out. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want cops in your place, fine. So what? They don't have a claim. They don't have a legal claim. They're not a protected class. So the black gentlemen in Philadelphia are members of a protected class per their race. So they have a discrimination case. Police officers don't. And more to the point,
I don't know their racial makeup, and they're not saying, if they're African American.
They weren't asked to leave because of their race. They were asked to leave because they were in uniform. They're asked to leave because they're police officers. Police officers are in a protected class. And the larger question is litigation really the solution here? You think litigation changes the culture? In some cases, it can when you're looking to repeal an unjust law. But is this a legal problem that we have here? No. It's a cultural problem. Rob Ferraro, who you just heard from, the president of the Officers Association, it's become accepted to not trust or to see police and think that we're not here to serve you. And again, it goes back to we take great pride of the level of customer service we provide citizens, and to be looked at as feeling unsafe when you have law enforcement around you is somewhat perplexing to me. Well, is it perplexing? I mean, it's perplexing on the merits. Does this surprise people? Does this surprise anyone? You're going to feign surprise at this. We're going to be morally indignant at this. Has anybody paid attention to what has happened in America since Ferguson? And what has been given license by all of the cultural and civic institutions and the hierarchies that control them with respect to police?
There's absolutely no respect for police. And now people have the power to say they feel scared. I'm so scared.
People always had the power to do that. That's not the issue.
But
That's
now,
not the issue.
Well, they have the power. Both are paying customers, and one was felt scared and got the threat taken out of Starbucks. But the threat are people that we pay to protect us, police officers who get no respect whatsoever anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Starbucks said, after they were told by what happened,
No,
it
of
was
course
not
they
in
love law
line with Starbucks
enforcement,
values. We'll
right.
continue to work in strengthening
Yeah.
their relationship with law enforcement.
Mhm.
No, you're not.
The hashtag Race Together campaign, where your barista was going to educate you about race relations in this country, give you chapter and verse on Dred Scott Forward. The last 150 years of Supreme Court jurisprudence on race and other such topics while you're waiting for your Frappuccino. You think that was about really bringing people together, as Howard Schultz contended? You think that was all that bias training that goes on, not just at Starbucks, but everywhere? You are all on a college campus now. What is complicated about this? Are you that oblivious to what is going on around you that you're shocked by what happened at this Starbucks? I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And what does it say about the culture that the employee who knew the police officers deferred to the complaining patron? Megan in Evanston, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'm so glad you guys are covering this. And I think it's heinous. It's such an indicator of how our country has slid down. But also for employers, make sure you talk to your young employees that if they don't know what to do, they should talk to the manager. That's all.
All right.
Yeah, and it was a holiday. I'm
call,
sure the
Megan.
manager wasn't there, so the kid in charge probably just thought, well, I'll take charge, and if somebody feels scared or unsafe, I got to protect them.
That assumes a lot about a Starbucks manager we know nothing about. You think that Starbucks manager could be similarly disposed to that frontline employee? Sure he could. She could. Whatever. I mean, again, we have a mayor in Chicago who wants to impose a consent decree from the previous presidential administration that declared the Chicago Police Department as an inherently racist institution. And this is celebrated on the left. And you're surprised that police are getting the back of the hand treatment when they're in public places? Kurt in Brookfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. I've got 33 years of service to the military and law enforcement. I'm on a SWAT team that's voluntary because I believe in this country and protecting this country, and I'll put my life on the line for it. But it just disgusts me that the attitude that we're getting from liberals to law enforcement. Just because Trump supports law enforcement, I feel like people and liberals are like, well, let's attack law enforcement. That's an agency he supports. And it's getting really disgusting. I'd like to see those same people dropped off in different neighborhoods and then need our help to come get them. You know, what do they want us then? You know, do they want us to put our lives on the line then? Do they care about our families? Nah. If they're scared of us, there's a problem in our universities and schools because it'd be a
Yeah, Kurt, we lost you there. Thanks for the call, though. We certainly take the point.
And I think all law enforcement, everyone, dump Starbucks, go to Dunkin' Donuts. They love police officers there, and they do fundraisers with Special Olympics where they put the cop on the roof, you know, and generate funds for groups that need it.
You should be going to Dunkin' Donuts anyway. Starbucks is awful. Plus, the environment is, talk about feeling not unsafe. Just
Hippieville?
It's intolerable. You know, a bunch of aspiring Hollywood screenwriters loitering around.
With nose rings.
David and McCook.
Good morning, guys. I don't buy that overpriced coffee anyway, but I wonder if this $10 an hour little punk's going to lose his job because if the same employee would have asked two black people to leave, the left would be out there asking for the kid's head to be cut off by now.
Thanks for the call. What if he, forget race, what if they had asked two Antifa goons to leave, you know, dressed in their full thug gear that we saw in Portland last week?
Look like SWAT team officers.
And D.C. this weekend.
Oh, that's right.
If you ask them what we had that, well, I guess Antifa would just destroy the store, and then we'd say, well, you know, some things and some people and some establishments are going to have to be sacrificed for the greater good of the fight. Because, as Joe Biden said, I mean, Antifa is comprised of courageous Americans. Related story, a caper the cops did solve. This also went viral, and it like the Tempe story. The Lufkin Liquor. Boy.
The person at the Walmart who helped themselves to a gallon of ice cream and licked it and put it back?
Yeah, she's Lufkin Liquor. Boy, that's a nickname that's going to follow her around. That's punishment enough. Yeah, she licked a tub of Bluebell tin roof ice cream.
Ew.
And then put it back. She has been identified, and prosecutors in San Antonio say they will not pursue charges against her as an adult, and therefore what happens from here is at the discretion of the juvenile justice system. She was with her boyfriend at the time. By the way, she and her boyfriend...
Did they break up? Are they still together, Dan?
I don't know, but they look the same. They're indistinguishable from one another.
Sometimes that happens.
Sure, it's like how you grow
You
to look
start
like
dating.
your dog.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get it. Sure. So he may also face charges.
Why? Aiding and abetting?
Aiding and abetting the licking.
Did he double dog dare her to do it?
Authorities said the girl could face second-degree felony charge of tampering with a consumer product, potentially facing a 2 to 20-year prison sentence with fines up to $10,000. Okay. Yeah. Now this also, and by the way, the police had some fun with this. This is a Bel Air Police Officers Association. They posted like 2 of their officers guarding the Bluebell freezer.
Oh, in case the person came back.
Yeah,
In case the perp came back.
they're just having fun with the story. I mean, when you're facing a 2 to 20 year stretch, I guess it's not that funny, but at least they had some fun with it because it is sort of ridiculous. It spawned a bunch of other people on social media, doing
To
the
buy
same
that.
thing,
Wow.
but not
Well,
putting
licking
it
it,
back.
but then putting it in their cart.
Yeah.
And buying other carts. So what's the Lufkin liquor?
The Lufkin liquor. The Lufkin liquor has been identified. She's securely in custody. She's being processed by the juvenile justice system. So your Bluebell Tin Roof in the greater San Antonio area, I guess, is safe for now.
Sounds like a porn name. Okay.
The Bel Air police are on the job. Monty in Chesterton.
Hey, good morning. When I heard the story about the Tempe, Arizona police officers, I thought to myself, like, well, we're not going to leave. Why, who are they going to call if the police officers decided not to leave?
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, right. Yeah, another child of the 80s, clearly. Thanks for the call, Monty. Yeah, but I mean, right. But if the officers had declined to leave, then they're escalating the situation. I mean, if you're a cop and somebody says, I don't want you here, we feel unsafe, I mean, it's laughable. But if I'm a cop, it's okay. Sure. I mean, there's a lot of other people.
They've been to that store so many times before. It's just weird.
But there's a lot of other people who do want me around because
There you go. 'Cause
they
if
do feel
something
more
happens-
safe.
right.
So you don't want your business protected by us? All right, we'll go patronize and otherwise pay attention to all those businesses who pay for police protection and want police protection.
All I know is that
No problem.
that snowflake who started this whole thing probably has an outstanding warrant or something's going on, or maybe they're here illegally or they committed a crime. I mean, why would they be so jumpy at the sheer sight of a police officer? When I see police, I feel safer.
I think you're letting your mind
Am
kind
I
of
letting my-
create like these fantastical factors that are totally unnecessary. Police are racist bad guys, according to the left. Pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. Isn't that the chant from the Black Lives Matter marchers around the country? Have you seen what happens on college campuses? Have you seen, and have we not talked about, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of stories where the kids are in charge and their sensibilities shall be served? Oh, it could have been a baby boomer hippie, for all we know. Who knows? But what we do know is that it was a man or woman of the left who is emblematic of the left. And that's the takeaway.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. GM and Ford sales decline in China and plummeting Univision ratings, forcing a potential sale. Those stories next.
I'm Bobby Richards with today's 1-Minute Money Report. The New York Times recently reported on an unusual way Americans are making money. They found over 10,000 people who broke the golden rule of investing and became millionaires. The stories included people from all walks of life, including writers, professional bowlers, and blues guitarists, even a set of grandparents.
We broke the golden rule of investing and turned $16,000 into $2 million.
And here's one person who agrees with what they're doing, Warren Buffett. He says blindly following Wall Street's golden rule is just protection against ignorance. And Alexander Green, perhaps the top stock picker in America, told his 140,000 followers that if they break this rule, they can retire on just one investment. His video immediately went viral. You can view it for yourself at onestockretirement.com and decide if you should break the golden rule too. Again, that's onestockretirement.com. If your retirement isn't what you want it to be, go see what 10,000 people have already used to become millionaires.
President Trump says he may issue an executive order to add a citizenship question to the 2020 census, and the Justice Department is examining every option in the wake of the Supreme Court's June 27th ruling that blocked the Trump administration's intent to put forward such a logical question. General Motors and Ford saw their quarterly sales in China drop amid the slowing Chinese economy. GM sales down more than 12%, Ford sales down by more than 21%. China's overall car sales down last year, on track now to fall again this year. Plummeting ratings for Spanish-language broadcaster Univision, causing it to explore a possible sale, and possibly quickly, ending 12 years of private equity ownership. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
No matter how well you provide for your family today, if you don't have life insurance, their future may be at risk. Think about what would happen if you were gone. Would they struggle to pay the bills and face an uncertain future? They don't have to. You can help guarantee those you love $200,000, $500,000, $750,000 or more with life insurance through AIG Direct. We'll help you get more for your money, up to 70% more. For a free quote, call 1-800-900-1303. Just look, you could get $250,000 of term life coverage for as little as $14 a month. It's no wonder millions of people rely on AIG companies. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation. Make the future more secure for those you love. Call now so you can sleep better at night. For a free quote, call 1-800-900-1303. That's 1-800-900-1303. 1-800-900-1303.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm loving my Balance of Nature. Since I started, I have not gotten one cold. I kind of fight everything. I get a little tickle, but it goes away.
It's just amazing the difference I felt. I want you to know how much I appreciate the counseling and so forth and your attention to your people. I have been a pretty big advocate for the Balance of Nature. I don't know how many truck drivers have asked me, how in the heck do you keep going at 88, 89 years old? I said, Balance of Nature. If they want to really enjoy some good health, get on Balance of Nature.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, you can receive a 30% discount and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
When a company is ready to grow, it's important to have the right partner to support that growth. Choose a team backed by 100-plus years of combined experience in the staffing industry and the most trusted staffing service supplier. Choose Unistaff. Unistaff's flexible staffing solutions can help your business fill temporary, temp-to-perm, or direct hire employment and make the hiring process cost-effective and efficient. For temporary placement to handle specialty products requiring specific skill sets, workflow fluctuations, or to save on hire costs, Unistaff has the talent ready to take on the challenge. They can also connect you with their talented associates to provide temporary positions with the potential of full-time placement. And for direct hire, you know finding the right employee can be an unexpected, time-consuming task. Leading corporations partner with Unistaff to gain access to top candidates in a wide spectrum of industries specific to their needs. Focus on growing your business. Call Unistaff to handle the rest. Go to unistaffjobs.com. That's unistaffjobs.com.
If you have an unpaid tax debt to the IRS that you can't pay, please hear this special notice. Specially approved IRS relief programs designed to aid delinquent taxpayers are now in effect that can significantly improve your financial situation. Depending on your circumstances, you may qualify to have your tax problem resolved in your favor and may even have your back taxes reduced by thousands or eliminated entirely. A relief hotline has been established by Community Tax for you to call and see if you qualify at 800-500-5588. If you owe the IRS back taxes that you can't afford to pay, don't let the IRS trick you into thinking you have no way out. Our highly accredited tax professionals will let you know what you qualify for and how much you can save. We may be able to stop all liens, garnishments, levies, and save you thousands. Call and see if you qualify for this taxpayer relief at 800-500-5588. 800-500-5588. That's 800-500-5588. Community Tax. Who's your tax guy?
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Do the Brits owe President Trump an apology? Well, Ivanka is going to take one for him today. We'll discuss with Colonel Jim Carafano from the Heritage Foundation at 7:07.
And oh no, a congressional member leaves the GOP. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A search underway for a South Bend teen who went missing in Lake Michigan. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Iran better be careful. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's a warning President Trump gave as Iran keeps breaching the international nuclear deal he pulled the U.S. out of last year. Fox's Simon Owens, live in London.
Iran's nuclear agency saying the country has blown through a limit on how highly it's allowed to enrich uranium, a second breach of the Iran nuclear deal in around a week. It puts the country slightly closer to having bomb-grade uranium. And Iran is already threatening a further violation. A foreign ministry spokesperson saying the next step will be harder, more steadfast, and somehow stunning unless countries still in the deal offset damage being caused by American sanctions after the U.S. withdrew from the accord last year. Dave?
Simon talking to reporters before returning to the White House yesterday. The president also had choice words for the British ambassador to the U.K. It's hard to hear. He says the ambassador hasn't served the UK well. This after leaked memos show Ambassador Kim Derrick calling the Trump administration dysfunctional and inept. Amid an inquiry into those leaks, the British trade minister will apologize for them to Ivanka Trump today in Washington. The president keeps trying to get the citizenship question on the 2020 census, and there's a new legal team at the Justice Department working on it.
This comes after a Supreme Court ruling that the case needs to go back to lower courts. The government, though, has long said it was up against a tight deadline to print the forms, but now administration officials believe they have enough time to get this case argued before key census deadlines.
Fox's Mark Meredith. A Georgia sheriff's deputy shot dead last night after a stolen car chase led to a gun battle. One suspect was also shot and wounded. Others, though, are on the run. So Hall County Sheriff spokesman Derek Booth says while they're in mourning,
no closure now with suspects still on the loose.
A billionaire's in jail in New York City due in federal court today. Hedge fund manager Jeffrey Epstein facing charges of molesting underage girls. He's already a registered sex offender. This is Fox News.
Sunshine, 62 degrees. 7:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A fatal shooting investigation is underway outside of a bar in Harvey. Happened around 4 a.m. outside the Let's Play Sports Bar along Dixie Highway. Police are in the process of interviewing those in the parking lot and in the bar at the time of the shooting. Search is underway for a 17-year-old South Bend boy who went missing in Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana. Raheem Mason was swimming with his church group at Washington Beach in Michigan City when he was swept away by strong currents. Waters have been closed throughout the day because of dangerous waves and currents. Chicago police are dealing with another violent, long 4th of July holiday weekend. At least 5 killed, at least 68 wounded in shootings since July 4. An investigation continues after a man was found dead in a portable restroom on Chicago's far south side. The discovery was made yesterday in a parking lot of the Salvation Army Ray and Joan Kroc Core Community Center on 119th Street. Investigators now believe that man died of an overdose. The NTSB continues their investigation this morning into a crash last week in Iroquois County that killed a Tennessee woman and injured 2 Naperville residents. Raymond Jakubiak of Naperville was flying a single-engine aircraft from Nashville to the Chicago area when he began experiencing engine failure. The plane caught fire after Jakubiak made an emergency landing in a wheat field near Shabans. Passenger Dorothy Stockard of Hermitage, Tennessee, died. White Sox beat the Cubs 3-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Sox enter the All-Star break with a big improvement over last year, 42-44, but the struggling Cubs First in the Central, but sliding, and the first half at 47 and 43. The news, a service of Ace, the helpful place. It's the Ace 4th of July sale. Buy one, get one half off gallons of top paint like Valspar, Clark & Kensington, and Magnolia Home Paint with the Extra Mile Promise. Get what you need to paint in one trip or delivery is free. Visit acehardware.com for details through July 8th at participating stores. Limit 2. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
That's what this radio show is. I tell you what I think, period.
The Joe Walsh Show.
And then you call in and you tell me what you think. And we don't have to fight with each other. We don't have to hurl insults at each other. We'll agree sometimes. We'll disagree sometimes. Big deal. To me, that makes for the most interesting radio. I'm going to tell you what I think, honestly. And I want you to do the same.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5, right before Larry Elder at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Amanda Zanger, owner of Black Industrial and Safety Supply in Hammond, Indiana, and a business customer of Signature Bank. Prior to owning my own business, I worked for a major financial institution. So when it came time to finance the acquisition of Black, I approached a big bank, only to receive a solid no. That's when Signature Bank stepped in. With Signature Bank, the process was different. Signature provided creative financing options that enabled me to purchase Black and continue to grow the business. Thanks to Signature Bank, Black Industrial is able to continue serving Fortune 500 industry fabricators and contractors with tools and safety supplies as we have since 1893.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's the 4th of July sale at Ace. Ace Rewards members get free assembly and free delivery on their top grill brands and accessories $3.99 and up. From their store right to your door. Don't miss the 4th of July sale through July 8th only at Ace. See participating stores for details.
7:07 in the AM 560 Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Al Verde.
Here's a look at traffic on the inbound Edens. It's 24 minutes, Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction, 21 on the outbound trip. The Kennedy Inn is 31, O'Hare to downtown, 41 back out to the airport. Eisenhower in from 390 is 46 minutes. Back out from the Circle is a 40-minute trip. Stevenson in almost an hour from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 43 outbound. 55 northbound jams through construction from Lorenzo to Blodgett. Dan Ryan inbound, that's 26, 95th to downtown. Most of the backup from the Stevenson. Still outbound, no delays. 57 in slows from 111th to Halstead. That's traffic. I'm Al Verdi. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and meteorologist Steve Williams.
A nice day, some clouds to start, then sun. The high today 82. Mainly clear tonight, low 63. Partly sunny tomorrow, the high 86. Clouds and sun on Wednesday, shower and thunderstorm, breezy and humid, the high 89. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with Stephen Leahy. Every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Creepshow Joe Biden sat down with Chris Cuomo. Not exactly Frost Nixon, those two. Holy cow.
It was so insufferable.
What a couple of dopes. Joe Biden on what happens if Trump's reelected vis-a-vis NATO.
If he wins re-election, I promise you, there'll be no NATO in 4 years.
No NATO.
Or 5 years.
You think there'll be no more NATO if he's reelected?
No more NATO.
No more NATO for you.
No more NATO. NATO's going to go away because, I don't know, because he's offended the allies who are now paying more of their...
Which they should.
To support NATO appropriately.
Weren't we supporting it 70% of the budget of NATO? I mean, so good for President Trump.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, that combined with what the British ambassador to D.C. had said about Donald Trump, some cables that were released, maybe it's all breaking apart. That's Joe Biden's contention. Here's another one. That Russian interference in our elections?
Mm-hmm.
That would never happen on the watch of a Joe Biden.
Oh, sure it wouldn't. No opposition research at all from any country if he's there.
Well, point of order, Joe.
Yes.
If we all agree the Russians interfered in the 2016 election, who was the president and vice president in 2016? So it already did happen on your watch.
Look at what's happening with Putin. While Putin is trying to undo our elections, he is undoing elections in Europe. Look what's happened in Hungary. Look what's happened in Poland. Look what's happened in Moldova. Look what's happening. You think that would have happened on my watch or Barack's watch? You can't answer that, but I promise you it wouldn't have, and it didn't.
It did.
It would, and it did. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Jim Carafano. He is the lieutenant colonel. He is an Army veteran. He's vice president of the Catherine and Shelby Cullom Davis Institute for International Studies at the Heritage Foundation, author of books including Surviving the End and Wiki at War. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's good to be with you.
So if Trump gets reelected, no more NATO?
I do policy, not politics.
Well,
so
what do you think the likelihood of NATO going away is, regardless of who the next president is?
I think 0. Look, I mean, the other countries in NATO just invested another $100 billion in the alliance, and I spent a lot of time talking to the Europeans. I've been over there a number of times. We have delegations come here all the time, parliamentary delegations, ministers. I've yet to ever have a European come to me and say, we don't need NATO. And I've never had anybody who's actually in government, a real official in a serious conversation, express any real concern about the United States' commitment to NATO.
Now, as a member of the military, I wanted to know what you thought of Trump's 4th of July celebration. Did you think it was a misuse of the military, or do you think that was appropriate?
Well, you have to be honest. I went to West Point, and like every week we did a parade. And I hated parades.
But did you do parades with weapons?
Yeah. We had M14s, and we did parades, and we had stuff flying overhead, and I even did a couple of the parades in New York City. When the cadets would go down and march in those parades, and we had weapons then too. And I always hated parades, so I'm a little biased into it. But on the flip side of that, I think, to be honest, if there was ever a moment where I think, we rhetorically jumped the shark in the United States, I think this was it. People wanted to complain that somehow this was a campaign thing. Well, look, every president that was ever up for re-election, you could claim that virtually any public thing they did was a campaign thing. So that, I think, on its face is not a supportable claim. And then somehow claim that this is some kind of militarism or authoritarianism. All I could think of was, the kids that move those tanks around and armored personal carriers, they are like 20 years old. They're volunteers. They signed up for only one purpose, which was to serve their country, I'm not sure they appreciated being called symbols of authoritarianism, and somehow there was some kind of equivalency between a tank being displayed on the mall, which, by the way, we've done before, and the tanks rolling down Chinese protesters in Tiananmen Square. So I just think if ever, we, stabbed civil society in the heart, and just here's, I think, look, when your morality is shaped by your politics, I think then morality ceases to inform our politics anymore. And I think we saw some of that.
I wanted to see 13 ladies dressed up like Betsy Ross carrying the original flag. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get that, but I think, to be honest, I mean, again, not a partisan comment because I don't do politics. I work on a nonpartisan foundation. What do people take away from this? And I think people outside the bubble of the heated rhetorical debate just look at this and they just say, well, this is just silliness. If you look at the crying baby balloon, do they say, oh my God, our president is such an embarrassment? Or do they say, how can I take these people seriously if the depth of their criticism is to put out a balloon with a crying baby on it?
Yeah. There seemed to be a lot of people on the mall that were quite interested and enjoyed this show of authoritarianism, to hear the left describe it. But the other fun part about the criticisms, to me, this is always the most fun, is when spendthrifts turn into fiscal hawks. The money that we're wasting, Jim, $2 million. $2 million. Jim, think about what we could have done with $2 million, how we could have frittered it away in so many other more creative ways.
Well, the logical extension of that is, why do we do flyovers at the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
Why do we even have the Thunderbirds or the other aerial demonstration groups to begin with? So again, it's kind of strange credulity, and I think average Americans just get that. I mean, so I think the 4th of July didn't move the boat. Actually, to be honest, and my wife said this, and we recently got married. She moved back to Washington. She goes, I was a little embarrassed by the 4th of July. I said, they would have these kind of third-rate actors, and Brian Wilson for the 87th time, on these kind of cheesy shows. And she goes, is that the best America can do to celebrate its birthday? Like, where's the president? Isn't it, like, shouldn't the president say something about the nation on the 4th of July? So I actually think rather than kind of being over the top, it maybe took us back to a level of celebration that we kind of ought to be at.
Yeah, but I mean, again, just that $2 million. I mean, we could have done something really patriotic with that money, like use it to increase congressional salaries. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a missed opportunity. All right, how about comment on this? British ambassador to the United States, some cables that he authored that were unearthed and are very critical of President Trump, describing him and his White House as uniquely dysfunctional and suggesting that his career could end in disgrace and so on and so forth. Now some other envoy from the UK is going to apologize to Ivanka for the contents of those cables today. What, if anything, are we to make about all of this?
Do we actually know when the cables were written? I didn't see that in the press numbers.
They span the period of 2017 to the present, so it's not specifically with each comment that was referenced, but some are early in though, June of 2017 and so forth.
Yeah, and I think that makes a difference. I mean, look, one of the things we do is we talk a lot with the international community in Washington D.C. and the embassies, and there was a lot of confusion and consternation early on, and so some of that reporting from almost any delegation I could have seen in early 2017. If it's more recent, then that doesn't really kind of fit with what I hear from the international community, where I think are actually much more get Trump than they did 2 years ago. I will say that the British embassy has never actually really warmed up to this administration. I think that's just kind of true. And I think the timing on these leaks is interesting because we're much more likely to get a new British prime minister that is much more in sync with the foreign policy of this administration.
Boris
and
Johnson.
So obviously
right?
somebody is trying to just kind of throw a monkey wrench in that.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I mean, talk to us about what a Boris Johnson will mean for that relationship in the United States.
Well, I think clearly on Iran, I think will be the big issue where we'll really see the British move much more closely to the American position. I think that's a huge, real game changer. It really kind of undercuts the entire European position. I think on a whole range of it, it'd be really interesting to see how the British position shifts on China. So I think, I think that's healthy for Europe. I think the problem before is European policy, even if you like the EU, is really reduced to the lowest common denominator because it's what all the countries can agree with. And in a way that really kind of muffled the British voice, which I think is because they have actually the largest and most effective military in Western Europe. They have a unique strategic position, and they have unique global linkages. Kind of suppressing the British voice on foreign policy, I didn't think was healthy for Europe or for the transatlantic community. And I think one of the advantages of a Britain outside the EU with a more independent foreign policy is it'll actually be a healthier bridge between the United States and European views on security.
When you say that the diplomats and others that you speak with have sort of figured Trump out a few years in now, are you saying they understand? Because here's what I see with Trump. They understand that where he is unrestrained rhetorically, he is quite restrained in terms of his action. So he may be unrestrained rhetorically in the direction of Iran, but he is very particular and thoughtful and restrained when it comes to actually taking substantive steps.
Well, I mean, I think what they've learned is essentially not to take the rhetoric at face value, that they understand the president says many things publicly for lots of different reasons, and it just react literally to what he said isn't really the most helpful for them or for the advice they give back to their governments. So what I recommend, and I've seen many Europeans and many embassies do this, is look, let's understand the policy. And then once we understand the policy of the United States, then we can put the president's rhetoric in context and then report that back to our governments, and that makes a lot more sense.
All right. He is Lieutenant Colonel Jim Carafano, U.S. Army vet, Vice President of the Catherine and Shelby Cullom Davis Institute for International Studies at the Heritage Foundation, author of books including Surviving the End and Wiki at War. Jim, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good talking to you.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey Pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Is your old AC a clunker? Does it clunk, leak, or make weird noises? Could be it's on its way out. Luckily, the highly trained techs at your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning will replace your AC with new top-tier equipment. And isn't that what you want to hear? Right now, get big savings on a complete cooling system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Your kids won't be thinking about school very much this summer, but it's the perfect time for you to think about where you'll be sending your child back to school this fall. More and more parents are thinking about private school. Maybe that's you. Well, private school's never been more affordable thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across Chicagoland available at half of the normal price. No catch. It's simple. Find a school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. Halfpriceschools.com has schools located across Chicagoland, including Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, Covenant Christian in Aurora, Trinity Lutheran in Lombard, Faith Evangelical Lutheran in Antioch, Calvin Christian in South Holland, Kingswood Academy in Darien, and Westminster Christian in Elgin. So don't delay. Summer won't last forever, and school will be starting again before you know it. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. Many of these vouchers have already sold out, so do not wait. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
We're surrounded by noise, bombarded by information, messages struggling to get attention. So many ways to reach customers. Your message needs to cut through and stand out. For the resources and know-how to make it all work, there's Salem Surround. Get started with a free evaluation of your digital presence and some great ideas to increase your online visibility and revenue. Learn more at surroundchicago.com. Surroundchicago.com, connecting you with new customers.
All right. So I have a Balance of Nature story, just a true story, which I'm not going to cry because I'm all cried out. Okay. Oh, no. Uh-oh.
You're going to have an Ed Henry moment here?
Well, kind of. All right, so my youngest son has a brain tumor. And I'm not going to cry. Remember, I'm all cried out. And he's getting it removed tomorrow. We were supposed to have it removed last Friday, but the neurosurgeon had an emergency, and his prior case went on longer than expected. Well, during that time, Eli admitted that he had taken Balance of Nature when he was not supposed to, because he was not supposed to eat or drink anything after midnight. And so I brought in the bottles of Balance of Nature. The nurse examined them. The anesthesiologist examined them, came back and said, well, you shouldn't have taken it. I don't think it'll affect the operation, but this is pretty good stuff here. So they're going to get themselves some Balance of Nature. I'm not making this up. This is true. So if you want to get your bottle of Balance of Nature, this is what you do. You call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go to balanceofnature.com, discount code Chicago. And if you can still receive 30% off plus free shipping on your first preferred order. 800-246-8751. Get the fruits and veggies that you need. 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. Doctor tested and doctor approved. 800-246-8751.
Every company has unique shipping challenges. Whether it's managing time-sensitive 1- and 2-day deliveries, reducing truckload and LTL spend, or managing a large number of shipments at one time without enough staff to track it all. At Yellowstone Logistics, they manage customer shipments so you can focus on your own business. As part of the $2 billion a year Global Trans Network, Yellowstone offers their customers access to over 30,000 18-wheelers, 50 LTL network carriers, and access to hundreds of Sprinter van and box trucks that can manage your time-sensitive shipments 7 days a week. Yellowstone Logistics specializes in managing their customers' time-sensitive 1- and 2-day deliveries and provides reporting on delivery progress as frequently as needed to manage your or your customers' reporting expectations. Visit them today at YellowstoneLogistics.com and see how they can help you manage your logistics needs. YellowstoneLogistics.com. Call 847-213-9329.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, since I mentioned it, Ed Henry, friend of the show, Fox White House correspondent, as you know. He was on Fox and Friends over the holiday talking about the time off he is going to be taking because he is doing a very selfless thing, a wonderful thing. He is donating a portion of his liver to his sister who has a liver disease, or she needs a transplant.
And what people are doing matches. You can give a lobe of your liver. The operation takes anywhere between 18 to 24 hours, and it's harder for the giver than it is for the recipient. It's a very painful operation, and there's a long recovery time.
Well, it was hard for Ed Henry to communicate what he was about to do. This is rough. This is Ed Henry, but this was on Fox and Friends, and he wants people to know what's going on, and he wants to encourage people to be an organ donor and so forth. So here it is.
I'm going to donate part of my liver on Tuesday.
Wow.
Ed,
for our viewers, you've had a heavy heart for a while, and rightfully so. Your sister Colleen has a liver disorder, and you, as her brother, have decided to step up and donate a portion of yours.
Yeah, this has been a long journey, and it's good to talk about it. It's just hard to. I hope it helps people because there's a lot of people who need organ donations.
A lot of people probably going through exactly what you're going through right now, and you sharing this story is going to make a huge difference. And I give you huge kudos for this, Ed. Honestly, it's really hard to do.
That was a few days ago, and I got to say, she was really happy there. And that's all I want to do is make her and give her a little life.
Your sister Colleen is 2 years younger than you. No, listen, she has two kids. Ed told us I want to say a couple of weeks ago we found out about this. And watching your heart in this process, the emotional connection you have to your sister. Listen, you're getting emotional now for all the right reasons. I mean, you're hopefully saving a life.
Well, now that I've caught my breath, my parents have been great, my wife's been great, my kids are strong beyond their years. I can't forget to say that Suzanne Scott, our CEO, it's funny, you feel a burden and then you feel like it's lifted when people around you help you. Jay Wallace, our president, Lauren Pedersen as well, one of our great executives. they were asking me to do all kinds of things, like go to the debates in Miami and do these things, and you want to do your job, but you're running out to the hospital, take another blood test. And I finally just said, Suzanne, I can't do this. Yeah. And she was like, go help your sister. Yeah. Everybody at Fox. And they're amazing. And, you know, and you guys have been great. And we're family.
You're total champ.
We sure are.
What if Eli gets Ed Henry's liver lobe?
What? What is wrong with you? What? I didn't even hear what you said.
I'm sorry. No, I understand his emotion. It's hard. It's very, very difficult.
You've donated an organ, haven't you?
No, my other son had a kidney taken out. I didn't donate a kidney.
Oh.
But I'm on standby because I'm a match.
Right.
Yeah, so
you would.
never know when you're going to get the call.
You would.
So I'm not going to be here for a few days. If I'm not back Thursday, that's a bad sign. Okay? And I want to thank you guys for your support. You're not going to make me cry.
Oh, brother. I don't know how to get out of this. I think we just have to go to the news.
Here is Mike Scott.
Blue skies, sunshine, a great start to the week on this Monday. Police are busy this morning in the south suburbs. A fatal shooting investigation is underway just outside of a bar in Harvey on Dixie Highway. A new Justice Department team will take over the president's push for a citizenship question on the 2020 census. The department announcing a new team of lawyers from the Civil Division will now be in charge of solving how to legally put that question on citizenship on the survey. Ken Cuccinelli thinks a citizenship question will be on the 2020 census, despite the court's ruling against its inclusion.
I do think so. I think the president has expressed determination.
The president is also warning Iran this morning about enriching more uranium, and also went on to slam the Obama-era Iran nuclear deal.
Iran's doing a lot of bad things. And remember this, the Obama agreement, which was the most foolish agreement that you'll ever find.
The president boarding a plane there, telling Iran to be careful. He wants Iran to have, he says Iran wants the right to have nuclear weapons, something he says this country will never allow. Stevie Wonder is getting a kidney transplant. Shared the news during a set at the British Summertime Festival. Wonder says he has a donor lined up and will be taking a break from touring. The procedure done in September, part of a serious but manageable health issue for the music icon. No one is in custody after a pregnant woman and a man were stabbed in Chicago's Loop. Police say a group of 6 were waiting for a rideshare vehicle late Saturday night on East Washington when an unknown vehicle pulled up, offered a ride, a fight broke out, a knife was flashed, and 2 victims were stabbed. The woman remains in critical condition. A woman is in stable condition after falling 40 feet at Soldier Field. Police say the victim fell from an upper level of the stadium last night as the U.S. and Mexico faced off in the final of the Gold Cup soccer tournament. Sentencing begins today for a 29-year-old convicted of kidnapping and killing a visiting Chinese scholar at the University of Illinois, Yingying Zhang. Brent Christensen is facing either the death penalty or life in prison without parole. The same jury that convicted him in Peoria will decide his sentence. White Sox beat the Cubs 3-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Sox enter the break with a 42-44 record. The Cubs are sliding a bit, but lead the NL Central with a 47-43 record. The Summer League and rookie Bulls were beaten by the Cavaliers in Las Vegas last night, 82-75. The news is a service of Ace, the helpful place. It's the 4th of July sale at Ace. Ace Rewards members get free assembly and free delivery on their top grill brands and accessories. $3.99 and up from their store right to your door. Don't miss the 4th of July sale through July 8th only at Ace. See participating stores for details. 7:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You're listening to AM 560, The Answer, home of 7 of the top 100 radio talk hosts in America, according to Talkers Magazine. Congratulations to Joe Walsh.
I like that.
Larry Elder.
How do you do that?
Dennis Prager.
It should be obvious.
Sebastian Gorka.
That's very interesting.
Hugh Hewitt.
I got you already.
Mike Gallagher.
Honest to goodness.
And the number 1 talk show host in the country, Sean Hannity.
This is a little bit overboard.
The top talkers in America are talking right here on AM 560, The Answer.
When you hire a new employee, do you really know who you're hiring? What if you could do thorough research on potential employees and avoid future HR conflicts and trouble? It may sound like a daunting task, but with ETS Intelligence LLC, it's easy to get all the info on a potential hire. ETS is one of the leading private detective and security agencies in the U.S. Their client roster includes major law firms, insurance companies, high net worth individuals, and more. Our world can be a dangerous place to live and do business in. ETS Intelligence makes you safe by specializing in complex and high-tech investigations, background checks, computer forensics, surveillance, forensic accounting, and more. Let ETS Intelligence be the vetting intelligence agency for your company or business. They also provide personal security services. ETS Intelligence LLC, owned and operated by experienced active-duty law enforcement. Call toll-free 800-230-7429. 800-230-7429.
Across America, it's snoring season. Right now, 90 million Americans make this sound every night. Snoring can be caused by breathing through your mouth when you sleep. If you have a blocked or narrow nose, then you're more likely to open your mouth to breathe, causing snoring. Thankfully, there's Mute, an ingenious Australian invention that could quiet the snoring season once and for all. Mute is a comfortable nasal breathing device that sits inside the nose, supporting your airway and keeping it open while you sleep. You'll breathe more easily through your nose and snore less. In fact, in trials, 75% of couples reported a reduction in snoring when using Mute, allowing them both a better night's sleep. Put snoring season to bed, America.
Available at Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid and other fine stores. For more information, go to mutesnoring.com. Mute. Breathe more, snore less, sleep better.
7:36. Check on the roads. AM 560 traffic center time. In for Jim, here's Alverde.
Here's a look at traffic. Inbound Edens is in good shape. Outbound, though, is heavy. Montrose to Toohey, about 25 from Montrose up to Lake Cook. The Kennedy inbound, 42. O'Hare to downtown, 40 back out to the airport. Eisenhower inbound, that is about a 46-minute trip from Route 390 to the old post office. Back out a 42-minute ride. Stevenson in an hour 9, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 45 on the outbound side. Dan Ryan in, that's 33 from 95th to downtown. No outbound delays. 57 in, heavy from Halstead to the Ryan, about 16 in from 80 to the Ryan. That's traffic. I'm Al Verdi. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Beautiful couple of days shaping up. Sunshine in 82 today. Crisp and clean overnight, low 63, and a beautiful partly sunny sky tomorrow, high 86. But cooler near the lake. 62 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we get to presidential politics, this will probably be included in presidential politics this week as politicians celebrate the U.S. women's soccer team World Cup victory over the holidays.
Ticker tape parade tomorrow.
One of the reasons that so many people are economically illiterate is because they're educators, and in particular, the big government media is illiterate, economically illiterate. Case in point, Shia Kapos writing for Politico today. She's the former Cranes gal who's now like the Illinois Girl Friday for Politico. Talking about their win and all this stuff. Chance of Go USA and equal pay at a Lincoln Park event. Attendees wore equal pay T-shirts. This is from a Tribune story. Here's what she writes. In the case of soccer, the pay disparity is wide. Consider this. The women's team will be awarded $30 million in prize money from FIFA, the governing organization. Right. While the men's team last year was awarded $400 million. It's no wonder the women are suing for gender discrimination.
When you know what the facts are.
Well, it's just the other side. There's never any dots connected. The prize money as a percentage of, say, revenue generated.
Right. And revenue generated for women's soccer, in 2019 was $131 million, but for men's in 2018 it was $6 billion?
Yes.
That's a huge difference.
Right. That's fan interest. That's dollars talking. Here's something else. The women's $30 million purse, if you will.
Yeah.
That represents about 23% of the overall prize money. The men's $400 million purse last year, that represents about 7% of the overall prize money. So this equal pay mindlessness, how about putting the entire financial picture into focus so we can have intelligent conversations about this rather than using this or allowing it to be used, most notably by the left, as another fact-free rally point. It's just so frustrating. Honestly, people are so bad at providing information, so bad at demanding information so you can connect dots. It's just highly annoying, the fervor. So there's my soapbox, but I just because this is going to be repeated all over the place.
Right, especially with the parade tomorrow when they arrive back in the United States and are celebrated. They're going to keep up this equal pay gobbledygook.
All right. Over the weekend as well, you had Justin Amash. He is the first Republican to declare that an impeachment inquiry should proceed against President Trump. A Republican from Michigan. Well, he's not a Republican anymore because he announced he's leaving the Republican Party. He was on with Jake Tapper, had this to say.
We've had it with these two parties trying to ram their partisan nonsense down our throats week after week. We want a person to go represent us and be open and represent the entire community.
Are you running for re-election as an independent to Congress?
Yes, I am.
You are, and you think you can win as an independent?
Yes, I'm very confident about that.
What about the possibility of your running for president as a libertarian or under some other ticket? I asked you about that 4 or 5 months ago, and you didn't rule it out. Is it possible you would run for president?
I still wouldn't rule anything like that out. I believe that I have to use my skills, my public influence where it serves the country best. And I believe I have to defend the Constitution in whichever way works best.
Welcome.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, he's treated, there's divided opinion on him in libertarian circles. He's appreciated. In sort of establishment circles, he's less appreciated. Interestingly, what he just had to say about both parties, it sort of sounds like Trump in 2016, frankly. Mia Love, former congresswoman from Utah, and somebody who had previously had some friction with President Trump, so not necessarily any knee-jerk Trump supporter. She had this to say about Amash's announcement.
The administration demands 100% loyalty, and they won't give it back. And so that area I agree. But where he's actually leaving the party and thinks that he's actually going to be able to change the process from being one person in his own caucus speaking to himself, it's unrealistic to think that you're going to change anything. What you have to do is put yourself in uncomfortable situations, go and speak to people that you don't agree with, and see if you can have a dialogue that'll change other people's minds. You can't do that on your own.
For more on this topic, as well, of course, is the competition for the nomination on the Dem side, we're pleased to be joined by David Drucker, senior political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Washington Examiner, we referenced earlier in the show, had that great story about Congresswoman Veronica Escobar in El Paso sending staff down, her congressional staff, taxpayer-funded congressional staff, across the border to aid people who had been returned from El Paso to Ciudad Juarez to come back into this country, frankly, under false pretenses.
Well, yeah, and saying that you can't speak Spanish. can't speak English. I mean, she was giving them information, coaching them to do something illegal.
A remarkable story. Good for the Washington Examiner for getting it with good sources, including Customs and Border Patrol officers. And it would be nice to see maybe some other D.C. press corps outlets pick it up and cite it appropriately. But, David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Good to be here.
So on the issue of Justin Amash, start on the Republican side, perhaps he's right that as an independent, he should be confident that he can win re-election. But what about the prospects of him really leveling himself up and being seen as that challenge to Trump that so many never-Trumpers had desired for so many months?
Look, I think that there's always a subset of voters that, don't like the two-party system or think the two-party system's a problem. But most of them, even though they claim not to like the two-party system, support it and are just fine with it. And so I think Justin Amash has always been an outlier, even when he was a member of the Republican Party. And I don't think that much is going to happen, or that too many people are going to make too much of this. I mean, it's newsworthy and it's noteworthy and it's interesting because he's a congressman sort of going to bat against the sitting president. But most of the time, when you're an independent, it's hard to do well, and it's hard to amass any sort of power base. And of course, usually what happens is independents that want to do well, in a sense, have to build a party of their own, or they end up co-opting an existing party. So, we'll see what Justin Amash is able to do as a congressional candidate or something else, but I don't expect to make too much of it.
Speaking of independents, what has happened to Howard Schultz? I know he had some health issues. Is that candidacy going to go forward? And is the report that Tom Steyer, the billionaire who's been advertising for the impeachment of Trump and so forth, that he's going to get into the race, or at least explore getting into the race, that whole process, is that some indication where Howard Schultz's campaign is or is not?
Well, in my conversations with people on that campaign, he was going to spend the summer recuperating from, I think, multiple back surgeries, at least one back surgery, but it may have been more than one. And in a sense, the issue for him was twofold. One, he's trying to build something from scratch. He clearly has the money to do it if he wants to spend it. And I think he's both trying to figure out how worthwhile the investment would be. But I think there was one element to it, which was that if he was going to prosecute a vigorous campaign, he had to be healthy. And I think they figured that if he was going to be healthy, he might as well take the summer when most people really aren't paying attention yet and recuperate. And I think what they're going to do during this period is kind of figure out whether or not he really wants to go forward with this. I think he also probably wants to see how the Democratic race develops. I think part of his calculation was always whether or not there was an opening for a center-left candidate versus a left-left candidate. And depending on how the Democratic primary unfolds, he could decide that the center-left hole has been filled adequately or not. So, I think we'll know more in the fall. But clearly, he was on a more sort of concerted path towards developing this, and then has taken a step back.
Wow. President Trump yesterday said that he's going to arrange for the press to tour those migrant detention centers that, there's reports of terrible conditions. I think anything's better than the hot desert at this point in time because it was 117 in the Sonoran Desert. But do you think he'll go through with that and actually let the press in?
I don't know, but it would be a great idea. I mean, look, this is such a complicated issue, and it is a crisis. And I say complicated because, on the one hand, they're coming of their own free will, and the conditions out in the desert and crossing the river and all of that are so life-threatening. On the other hand, the United States and voters in the United States, Americans, just have standards for how we handle this sort of thing. I mean, we wouldn't. Some of the reports coming out of these camps or these detention centers, this is not something that we would allow by law for violent criminals. And so, on the one hand, these are people coming to seek asylum because they're so deathly afraid of where they're coming from, or just think that obviously they'd have a better life in the United States. This is something that people every generation make the decision to do, as hard as it can be. On the other hand, they're coming illegally. We don't always know if these asylum claims are honest, so we house them. A lot of them are bringing their children. But, voters are not going to stand for detaining people in squalid conditions. They're not, we saw this last year around this time. The idea of separating parents from children is not something that the American public is going to stand for. And again, we have a very high standard for how we detain people, both people that are in an asylum condition and forget that, people that are violent criminals. And so I think the administration, on the one hand, is right that there's a crisis, and they're doing, maybe in some cases they're doing their best to deal with it, but just saying that, well, nobody forced them to come and the conditions out there are worse, it's not something the public will stand for. And so I think that the government has to figure this out.
Well, right. I mean, you've had Mark Morgan, acting director of Customs and Border Patrol, conceding the point. Right. You've had others conceding the point. Yeah, right. The conditions aren't great because these are not long-term care centers or detention centers. This is for short-term, turn people around in 12 hours, either forward to America or backward to their home country. And, the system is overwhelmed. And you even have men of the left like Fareed Zakaria conceding the administration's point on that topic.
Right. Look, I think everybody understands that this is an issue. That the political point that I was trying to make was that ultimately I think the government's going to have to do a better job of handling this, or voters are going to be unhappy.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think that the administration could end up paying a price, even though this is not something that they necessarily created. And I think that if it was more transparency in terms of access to these centers so that the American people could see what's really going on there, I think it would actually help potentially create enough political pressure for the two parties in Congress and the administration to find a compromise. Because as with any immigration issue, we find most of the time compromise on either side is simply impossible for a whole host of reasons we've discussed before.
We mentioned Justin Amash being a man without a party by choice. Is Joe Biden becoming a man without a party not by his own choice?
I don't think so. I think Joe Biden, one of the reasons he's been in a position to do well in the primary so far, and he's still in a position to do well, is because as an old school labor Democrat who's actually quite liberal, he's filling a hole in the race that nobody else is bothering to try and fill, or at least nobody of prominence. I mean, Seth Moulton sort of tries to fill that hole, and I think Steve Bullock, the governor of Montana, is going after the sort of broad spectrum of Democrats. But, most of the Democrats have tilted or focused on the progressive left, and that's not surprising. It's a primary. We've seen this on the Republican side in the other direction. But there are a lot of Democrats who are liberal, but are less political, if you will, but they do vote. And in fact, one of the reasons Trump did so well in the Republican primaries, he ended up filling the hole of Republicans who were pragmatic. Yeah, Trump wasn't the most conservative guy in the world. They didn't know how wedded to dogma he was, but he seemed pretty, practical and pragmatic, and he could win. And I think that's, one of the potential strengths of a Joe Biden candidacy is, sure, he's not the most progressive candidate in the world, but, if you're running on defending Obamacare and defending private insurance, but still tilting left on some other key issues, which is not surprising because Joe Biden, for people that may not have followed him that long, is pretty darn liberal. And I think that's a pretty good combination. The key is whether he can stay out of his own way with, not just gas, but things that'll cause him problems with Democratic primary voters, and the age issue. I don't think people care that he's 76 years old. I don't think they want somebody who looks 76 years old.
Yeah. David Drucker, senior political correspondent for the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
You guys have a great product, and I tell my friends about it. And I was actually talking to a guy the other day who I just met, and he takes them. So you put out a great product, and I want to thank you and your organization.
I just started using it, and my family's already seen the difference.
and I have health issues. I have fibromyalgia, asthma, but all of a sudden everything's clearing up, and I'm feeling better, and my skin's better. My brother said I look 10 years younger already.
Wow. Okay.
My vision is clear. I already see the difference. People are seeing the difference, and my doctor's seeing the difference.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, you can receive a 30% discount and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
We're seeing the tide begin to shift in the country on the issue of life. It's happening in a lot of states with a number of heartbeat bills being signed into law. One big exception, of course, is here in Illinois, where lawmakers have removed almost all restrictions on abortions. And that's why it's more important than ever that women facing a crisis pregnancy have an option to choose life. That's where Heartbeat International comes in. Heartbeat International is the first network of pro-life pregnancy resource centers around the country. They're a nonprofit association of pregnancy centers, medical clinics, maternity homes, and nonprofit adoption agencies from across the nation. They're committed to making abortion unwanted and unthinkable. That's why they operate their toll-free option line. It's a simple phone number that any woman facing a crisis pregnancy can call and get the help she needs to choose life. And right now, we're helping Heartbeat International keep the option line running. It costs $75 an hour to run the option line. We're asking you to make a gift of $75 to sponsor 1 hour. That's all it takes to stop an abortion. Each day, more than 1,000 women call for help, and each call can mean the life of a baby is saved. So to sponsor an hour, just go to saveababynow.com. That's saveababynow.com, or call toll-free 800-999-7408 to make your $75 gift today. Your gift could be what it takes for a woman to choose life. Call today.
Want a good laugh? Watch those funny insurance ads on TV. You know, the ones the other guys spend billions of dollars on each year. Want seriously good auto, home, business, or life insurance? Come to the Kevin S. Doherty Insurance Agency, an independent Erie insurance agent serving the Chicagoland area. You'll get a great price that saves you money, unbelievable service, and advice from people you can trust. So talk to us at the Kevin S. Doherty Insurance Agency today. Call 630-575-0800. That's 630-575-0800. Or go to insurewithkevin.com. We can help you get where you need to be, where you should be, quickly and easily. Go ahead, laugh at those cave people, stunt guys, and bubbly cashiers. Then see for yourself why more than 90% of Erie customers stay with Erie year after year after year.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so I know you find what we do for the 4th, for holiday weekends, intriguing, fascinating, but it pales in comparison to Jad and JT. Jad Kroger, JT Parr, better known as the Party Bros.
Yeah, the Party Bros, and they've traveled to different communities, advocating for various things,
right?
Like renaming the water treatment plant the Britney Spears place because it's toxic or something.
That's right.
And then they wanted to keep house parties going in Hollywood Hills. Or no, Woodland Hills, I think it was.
They're great social activists is what you're saying, and there's no question they are. They were on with Jesse Waters on Waters World over the weekend to talk about their 4th of July plans.
Oh, dude, well, we love to go down to Cabo. That's like our go-to spot.
You leave the country for July 4th.
For sure. Going there with my dogs right after this for a bachelor party. Chad and I are jacked up, gonna eat a lot of tacos and tell a lot of fun stories.
We're gonna put down so much guac, dude. It's gonna be, I can't wait.
They also were asked by Waters if they had a birthday gift for America. It is America's birthday.
I'd probably get like a Groupon for a massage. I got that for my girlfriend one time, and she was so pumped, so.
Okay. Board shorts and a fire playlist.
Oh, good call, dude.
That's a good call, JT. I don't know if I could top that.
Good call, dude. Fireworks going to be part of their 4th weekend?
Yeah, dude, I mean, I love fireworks. It's one of my favorite things to do. I remember one time we set off like 50 mortars to celebrate Clown's pier jump at the end of junior lifeguards. And that was like, it's a good celebration.
Yeah, they combined to make a beautiful show. I would just also tell little dudes like scary stories about people losing digits so they don't get overconfident.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
don't
Chad
lose
is
an arm.
channeling you with the fireworks horror stories. And then you mentioned their social activism. These are community organizers. These are policy advocates. And so they've got a new cause celeb that you should hear about, building on their work.
Right.
The Britney Spears water treatment facility, the maintenance of house parties in the Hollywood Hills. Here's our latest.
Yeah, we're just massive fans of Nickelback, and we just wanted to start rocking their gear and use our platform to support them publicly.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people love Nickelback, but they feel shame over it, and there shouldn't be any shame. I love Nickelback, and if you do too, you can say it.
I love Nickelback, and honestly, they've been huge in our lives. The song "How You Remind Me" helped get us through Dylan's parents' divorce.
And him and Chad have the lead singer has the same name as Chad.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked on that.
I thought Chad Kroger, the party bro, I thought that was a nom de plume. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I would go with Rockstar. But How You Remind Me, great, very emotional
See,
song.
it's okay to like Nickelback.
If the party
man.
bros like Nickelback, then I'm not ashamed to say I like Nickelback too.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll look at the June jobs numbers with Scott the Cow Guy Shilady at 8:08.
And Dan, there's still hope for you. It's not too late for love. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A woman falls 40 feet during the Gold Cup final at Soldier Field. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
He still wants to ask us if we're Americans or not. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump not giving up, telling reporters before returning to the White House yesterday.
They're asking everything except, are you...
Hard to hear, but he says they're asking everything on the 2020 census, but are you a citizen? How ridiculous is that? So the Justice Department has put a new legal team on the census case after the Supreme Court blocked the citizenship question, sending it back to lower courts. The president also warned Iran better be careful after yet another breach of the international nuclear deal, enriching uranium to higher levels than the limit the agreement set. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is facing new criticism from freshman Democrats who've at times overshadowed her. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar pushing back on criticism from Speaker Pelosi, who blasted progressives and voted against a humanitarian aid bill for migrants on the southern border. In an interview with the New York Times, Pelosi said of the lawmakers, all these people have their public whatever in their Twitter world. Ocasio-Cortez shot back with a tweet that public whatever is called public sentiment. Omar also tweeted, sorry, not sorry, for the direction of progressives, suggesting Speaker Pelosi is just salty about who's wielding power. Dave.
Rachel, a person of interest taken into custody in Georgia the morning after a sheriff's deputy was shot and killed following a stolen car chase.
He's just being called a person of interest right now, but is believed to have been in that vehicle, a vehicle that fled deputies last night. Once it came to a crashing halt, that's when everyone inside bailed, running away from deputies. They were all armed. Deputies gave chase, and that's when that running gunfight happened.
Caitlin Pratt with Fox 5 TV in Gainesville, Georgia, says the deputy died at a hospital. Another suspect was shot and wounded. It's unclear how many others might still be on the run this morning. This is Fox News.
In Chicago, blue skies, sunshine, a nice summer day shaping up. It's 63 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man was killed in a crash in front of Chicago's Loyola University this morning. The accident happened around 3 a.m. in the 6400 block of North Sheridan. Chicago police confirmed the man was killed on impact. A large portion of the Chicago section of the Loyola sign is now missing after that wreckage. The vehicle remains on the scene as the investigation continues. Fatal shooting investigation is underway outside of a bar in Harvey. The shooting happened around 4 a.m. outside of the Let's Play Sports Bar on Dixie Highway. Police were in the process of interviewing those in the parking lot and in the bar at the time of the shooting. A woman is in stable condition after falling 40 feet at Soldier Field. Police say that victim fell from an upper level of the stadium last night as the U.S. and Mexico faced off in the Gold Cup final. She was taken to Northwestern Hospital. Chicago police are dealing with another violent 4th of July weekend. Sun-Times says at least 5 were killed, 68 or more were wounded in shootings since July 4. Authorities continue investigating after a body was pulled from the South Branch of the Chicago River. Police say the unknown person was discovered in the water yesterday in the 2700 block of South Eleanor near the Eleanor Boathouse. It's not known how the person got into the water, and no cause of death has been released. White Sox beat the crosstown rival Cubs 3-1 at Guaranteed Rate Field. Fire fell to Sporting KC 1-0. Cavaliers beat the Baby Bulls in Las Vegas Summer League action 82-75. 8:03 time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Lillian Wu.
From the Fox Business Network, markets starting the week lower. U.S. stock futures following Asian and European markets down on trade tensions. And with investors concerned, the Fed may not cut interest rates after a stellar jobs report Friday. A setback for Boeing, which lost a deal for 737 MAX jetliners. Saudi Arabian low-cost carrier Flyadeal canceling an order for up to 50 Boeing B737 MAX 8 aircraft and instead buying A320 jets from Airbus. And British Airways hit with a fine of nearly $230 million for a data breach last year, the largest penalty of its kind under a new European data protection law. Poor security at the airline apparently allowing hackers to divert 500,000 visitors to a fraudulent site which took names, addresses, login information, payment card details, and other data. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Lillian Wu.
8:05. Business is a service of Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees retaliation from the president.
The shooting down in international waters of a drone, an American drone, by Iran. I know a lot of people expected the loose cannon Donald Trump to race out there and go out and bomb them to smithereens. Oh, I think a response is coming, by the way.
I have no doubt a response is coming.
But it will be on his time.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and I've got a quick, cost-effective way to protect and grow the value of your home this summer. Call the professionals at CertaPro Painters for interior and exterior painting. They painted the first floor of my home last year, and every time someone walks in, they always say, gosh, your house looks so much bigger. That's because one of their color specialists helped me pick out the perfect color. So boost your curb appeal this summer with a fresh coat of paint while protecting it from the heat, storms, and insects. Be proud to show off your house to your friends and neighbors. Their summer calendar has a few spots available, so secure yours now. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com, that's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
.807 AM 560 Traffic Center time. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Here's a look at traffic. 55 northbound jams up Highway 30 to past Lockport Road with an accident blocking the right lane. And Lakeshore Drive northbound slows from Bryn Mawr to Hollywood with an accident at Sheridan. On the Edens, in the meantime, inbound, no delays. Back out, a 40-minute trip from Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy in, we're looking at 32 O'Hare to downtown, 43 back out to the airport. Eisenhower inbound, that's 53 from 390 to the Circle, and about a 50-minute trip back out to 390. Stevenson in, an hour 3 to Lakeshore Drive, 48 back out to 355. 55 northbound slows Lorenzo to Blodgett. That's traffic. I'm Al Verdi. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, here's our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Some clouds to start, then sunshine. Nice day. High today 82. Mainly clear tonight with a low 63. Partly sunny tomorrow, the high near 86. Wednesday, shower or thunderstorm. It'll be breezy, the high 89. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 63. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Before we talk June jobs numbers with our friend Scott the Cow Guy, just since we had an interesting Independence Day holiday weekend with the Socialist Spice Girls and CAP and culturally all courant outlets like Teen Vogue hating on America, maybe an outside perspective. Excellent interview over at Daily Signal with Jennifer Zhang. She is a Chinese dissident. Grew up admiring the Communist Party in China, adhering to its stringent rules, but her life changed forever when she embraced religion and was swept up in the Chinese government crackdown on Falun Gong. You see them praying outside the Chinese embassy in Chicago all the time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. She was arrested 4 times, sent to Beijing female labor camp for practicing Falun Gong. She writes, or she says in this interview, for the first moment, we were forced to squat under the baking sun for 15 hours. Whenever someone couldn't endure it and fainted away, they were shocked by electric batons so they could wake up. Every day in the camp, it was a battle between life and death. She also talks about an organ harvesting program that was done by her Chinese captors. I only realized that I had a very narrow escape from being a victim of this organ harvesting because I had hepatitis C. On the second day, talking about her at the camp, 2 police officers dragged me from my cell to the coal, threw me on the ground, and applied 2 electric batons all over my body until I lost consciousness. The torture I experienced and saw was beyond description. The police would also throw females into male prisoner cells to have them repeatedly gang raped.
Oh, God.
I think the worst part for me in camp is the brainwashing part, because the police made it very clear the only purpose for you to be sent there is to get you reformed, which means to change our minds toward Falun Gong. She's written a book about this experience, Witnessing History, One Woman's Fight for Freedom, and Falun Gong, and we're going to try and get her on the show to talk about that. But she's got a message for all of the Democrat socialists who look at Kamala and Bernie and Elizabeth Warren and the rest of them and say, oh, this is so exciting. Socialism is so exciting. And not to mention the Socialist Spice Girls who were hating on America over the weekend. Writes or says, Jennifer Zhang, I think in the early days when the Communist Party was just founded in China, they also talked about freedom, talked about equality, talked about everybody living in heaven-like communities and society. Many young people got deceived. They went to the sacred place of communism. If you look at the history, many of them ended up being killed by the party, and all their families, all their children, they all suffered for generations. Under the Communist Party in China, 80 million people died unnatural deaths, all the results of communism. Socialism is only the primary stage of communism. Actually, officially or theoretically, China now is not a communist country yet. It's still socialism with Chinese characteristics. Officially, China is now a socialist society. If you want communism or socialism, I think you should read more about China. You should read my story first to know what the socialism really is. I think too many young people, they're very easy to be attracted by those rosy, empty words and the rosy description of how beautiful those things are, but the reality is just the opposite. If they know what those damage or how people have suffered, more than, I think, 1/2 of the population of Chinese people have suffered one kind of persecution or another, they would stop having those rosy dreams about communism and or socialism. For more on this topic, because this is the battle in 2020. I mean, and by the way, you know, the Chinese communists practice state-driven capitalism. Isn't that what is being proposed by so many presidential aspirants? Many members of Congress, too, state-driven capitalism. We're pleased to be joined again by our friend, Scott the Cow Guy, Scott Shellady, Fox Business contributor. Scott, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Well, you know, just a sort of a philosophical point. You're a philosophical guy in addition to a numbers cruncher. You know, what about that? How do you see the 2020 election shaping up in terms of the question as to how our economy will be organized?
Well, there's no choice. I mean, we have to continue down the same path that we're on now. There isn't that the choice to go the way left or what you were just espousing is not a choice. It can't happen, and we can't survive in that environment. So, you know, like everybody else over this last 4 or 5 days, and I did happen to watch Trump's July 4th speech, and yeah, some of it's corny, but you know, the flyovers are cool, and you know, as I watched it with my family, pretty much everybody in the room just kind of made them feel good about being an American, you know, but we did reflect on the fact that, gosh, it's just. You can't really go out there and beat your chest and say, that made me feel good, I'm a patriot, you know, I feel patriotic, because you'll get beaten up because patriotism is now somehow deemed bad nowadays. It means maybe you're a racist or something. So this whole, I don't know where it stops, Dan, and I've talked about it a lot on the radio over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but where does this all end when we keep going down this route of everything needs to be free, everybody needs to be inclusive, except you have to do everything the way I say you have to do it. Right. I don't know how the average person can run a household, can run a business, can run a country with the ideals of what they're talking about now. I just don't see that. I don't see how it can happen.
And then you have Colin Kaepernick, you know, one man deciding what a billion-dollar company should do with patriotic shoes, and then 5 police officers or 6 police officers getting kicked out of Starbucks in Tempe, Arizona, because somebody felt scared.
Well, I mean, the Kaepernick thing is, I mean, he's nothing. What's embarrassing about that is the corporate boardrooms of America that fold to that stuff.
Yeah.
Just like they did when, you know, Chase put out a couple of ideas of how you can save money, and then all of a sudden that's racist and discriminating. That's a joke. The corporate America is just as bad as all the candidates standing up on the 20 candidates standing up for president on the Democratic side. And, you know, and hey, I didn't realize you could pick and choose when you liked your police officers or not. I mean, you get kicked out of Starbucks and 2 seconds later you call 911. Why should they come?
Right, exactly.
Looking at the June jobs numbers posted on Friday, 224,000 new jobs above market expectations. Unemployment edged a bit higher. Wage growth 3%, 3.1% year over year. So pretty good report in June. Showed maybe not the economy not slowing as some had predicted.
Well, yes. I mean, it's slowing, but I mean, it's still growing. It's growing at a slower pace, and I think I need to beat that into everybody's heads, right? Just because it is slowing, we are still growing. So would you get rid of all 5 of your basketball team starters if you were improving at a slower pace, but you were still improving? I mean, when you look at it like that, I mean, everybody's kind of got to get a grip here. And we have everybody banging out about rate cuts. I got to tell you, I've been doing it 31 years. Mm-hmm. The idea that we can spend this much time talking about rate cuts with the equity markets at all-time record highs really does not sit well with me and smells real funny, because I've never in my life of doing this job have ever talked about a rate cut with equities at all-time record highs. Now, either things are great and the land is, of the U.S. is rosy, or we are experiencing something slowing down to the point where we need to do something drastic and cut rates and make things better. You got to choose one. You can't have both, right? So you can't talk about how great things are. We're going to see Trump get elected again, and by the way, I need a rate cut. That doesn't work.
Well, is the continue talk about a rate cut though just the still sort of reaction to the criticisms of the Fed that they moved to raise rates too fast, and then now have sort of walked back on that. Powell has walked back on that. So it's almost like you're just sort of keeping the apology going.
Yes, and that is what he's doing. And I think that worst case scenario, okay, hold on. My best case scenario would be that he only takes back the rate hike he did in December and says, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to wait and see here. I think the market could digest that. But to suddenly go on this spree of talking about 2 and then maybe 3 rate cuts, or even a 50% basis rate cut. I think I'm going to go on the speaking tour this fall, and the whole thing's going to be careful what you wish for, because if we don't get the desired outcome from a rate hike with equities or rate cut with equities at an all-time record high, that stinks. Okay, you need to see something. You need a rocket shot, or you need to see these things really start to take off. Because if you don't, it's because really you've got a psychological problem on your hands that I don't know if you have an answer for. Because you're not going to be able to turn around and cut rates again to stop a slide, because you just started a slide by cutting rates. So they got to be careful. It's very dangerous ground they're in right now, and I think by doing as little as possible probably is the best course of action.
What is going on at Deutsche Bank? The announcement on Sunday of a major overhaul, including gutting its stock and bond trading businesses, reducing headcount by as many as 18,000 out of 90,000 workers over the next couple of years. Pretty substantial.
Yep.
Is that any sort of canary in the coal mine with respect to big banks?
Yeah, I had the same thought a little bit. I actually did used to work there in the mid-'90s in London. And what
They've
they
never
did is
recovered.
No.
Did
Exactly
you wear
right.
the jacket back
Right.
then,
The only thing that made
Scott?
money was the cafeteria, right? But they got very aggressive in the mid 2000s when a lot of other people did, but they went even they went whole hog, threw the towel in aggressive, and they haven't been able to recover from that. So this is like them having hit the restart button, and they should do, because it's been pretty bad. And their debt's been pretty bad, and the way that they manage their business has been pretty bad. They've gone through a bunch of CEOs as of late, so they just never have gotten their feet after a lot of the big banks did after the last crisis we have. So this is going to have to be something that really puts them in the straight and narrow, or it could be a canary in the coal mine if this doesn't work.
But you see this as isolated. It has everything to do with Deutsche Bank internally more so than the market externally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Speaking of
because
CEOs, I was just reading an article about their wage growth. An average CEO got a $500,000 pay bump in 2018.
Average CEO of what?
Of any company. That's what they're saying. While the average U.S. worker got an extra 1,000.
Amy,
no.
We've
Is this fake news?
In the 70s, it wasn't an issue, and it was only in the 80s it started to be an issue, because we went to this shareholder-centric kind of idea in the boardroom of most U.S. corporations, and the Jack Welchians out there, right, who really espouse this: you have to reward the shareholder and the shareholder only. In the 70s, we used to have representation from the workers on the board. There was 3 people. There was 3 factions, right? We had the management, you had customers, and you had workers, and all 3 were generally represented equally on these boards. But when we got in the 80s and the go-go 80s and the 90s, they dropped the worker out of that equation, and it was only the board answering to the shareholders. And so that's been the problem as of late, and that's why it's gotten way, way out of hand, is because we've kind of really forgotten about the people that help people get there. Now, I'm not saying it has to be 100% equal, because the management takes risks that they're going to be, their head's on the line if it doesn't work out. If you work for a company and they tell you to do something that doesn't work out, you guys just move on to a different job. You don't get canned. But there definitely has been a shift in our corporate culture where we have left the worker behind, and that was something that happened probably even 30, 35 years ago.
Well, left the worker behind. 401ks, I mean, obviously there's been some ups and downs with those. You've moved from defined benefit plans, I mean, except in the public sector, a place like Illinois, to defined compensation plans. And we see worker pay, I mean, we talked about it just year over year, is 3% wage growth, which is not bad. It's certainly an improvement over the first 15 years of this decade. So, I mean, should we be in the business of worrying about what private companies, including publicly traded companies, are paying their CEOs? Isn't that a matter for shareholders?
Yeah, 100% a matter for shareholders. But so far, they've been getting fed from the boardrooms so much so that that's exactly how they do it. They like it. But I agree. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy the stock. If you don't like it, you don't have to be involved in the company. And that is absolutely 100% capitalism at its finest. It's just that it has ballooned a little bit as of late, and it's only, I guess, it would be shareholders and the CEOs kind of sucking their own exhaust. That's all. There could be a little bit more representation for the worker in the boardroom. I don't think that's a bad thing. We have really gotten away from it over the last 35 years, and again, corporate America, or at least the shareholders, if they don't like it, they can sell the stock, and if they do like it, they can keep buying it up, and away we go.
He is Scott Shalady, Fox Business contributor, Scott the Cow Guy. Thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
All right, see ya.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Summer is the perfect time to replace your old, drafty, worn-out windows with beautiful new Energy Star windows from WindowWorks. And now it's easier than ever before during Dollar Days. When you buy 2 new windows, you get the 3rd window for just $1. Buy 4, get 2 more windows for just $1. And when you buy 6 new windows, you get 3 more for just $1. And choose low monthly payments or 1-year interest-free financing. You're going to love your new windows from WindowWorks. And remember, when you buy 2 new windows, you get the 3rd window for just $1. Call the company your neighbors trust with over 100 5-star Google reviews in the month of June. Call 800-808-1313. The first 20 callers will get a free $50 dinner gift card just for getting our price. 800-808-1313. That's 800-808-1313. Or visit us at mywindowworks.com.
AM 560 and MyPillow want to give you $1,000 in cash just for listening today to AM 560. All you need to enter to win today's $1,000 is the daily keyword. And today's keyword is Trump. Go to 560theanswer.com/cash and enter that keyword Trump, and you'll be entered to win $1,000 in cash, courtesy of AM 560 and our good friends over there at MyPillow. And don't forget to visit MyPillow.com. Use promo code AM560. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code AM560, and good luck.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
When I wasn't taking it and I was waiting for my operation, I was feeling very tired. Now I'm driving like 11, 12 hours a day. I told you I manage 15 gas stations. And I have so much energy. I even gave some of my pills for my son, and he said, Dad, this is good, so I like it. I'm healing so fast. It's like amazing. My family is so surprised because my wound closing up and doing so good. So that is working now that I'm start taking my those fruits and vegetables.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, you can receive a 30% discount and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
We have reached the age where things just cost more.
Cars, phones, life insurance.
Your blood pressure is up.
Your weight is up.
You're one to talk.
I have type 2 diabetes, so I'm getting dinged just like you.
Thank goodness for Big Lou.
Big Lou!
Big Lou can get term life insurance rates for a 50-year-old male with type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, or maybe he's on anxiety meds. For just around $200 a month for $1 million of coverage.
Oh, you got to say that again.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll say it. Big Lou and term provider could get a 50-year-old man, a little dinged up, $1 million in life insurance for around $200 a month.
Call Big Lou.
Big Lou!
He's like you.
800-555-2085. That's 800-555-2085. Don't put it off. If you're overweight, diabetic, have high blood pressure, you gotta call Big Lou.
Gotta.
800-555-2085. Write it down. 800-555-2085.
Deb, I'm so done with today. Traffic was awful. I couldn't stop for coffee. I have conference calls all morning, plus all these reports to go through. And look, it's 75 and sunny, and I'm stuck in here.
Relax. It's going to be an awesome day. Corporate is throwing a picnic in the parking lot for lunch, and they ordered tasty catering.
What? Did I miss the memo?
Apparently. It's going to be great. They got burgers, grilled chicken, sides, the works. You know, Tasty Catering's picnic food is excellent.
Oh, yeah, I know. We had them for our holiday party.
Today, they're bringing out the Make Your Own Burger Creation Station. They have everything you can think of, like sriracha, blue cheese crumbles, bacon, sautéed mushrooms, and caramelized onions. And they serve it straight off the grill, the way a great burger should be.
Okay, maybe there's still hope for today. I just hope I don't spill mustard on this new tie. Good thing I've got my bib.
You have a bib?
You don't?
Tasty Catering's picnic menu has all the delicious summertime food favorites you crave and more. Go to tastycatering.com to peruse mouth-watering picnic menus and start planning your picnic today. tastycatering.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know, Mini AOC is an 8-year-old girl named Ava Martinez, who's posted all these videos mocking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez perfectly.
And she looks exactly like her, too. She
yeah.
wears the glasses, the oversized glasses, puts on the lipstick.
Yeah,
and she's adorable.
Vern Troyer to AOC's Dr. Evil. A sampling of some of Ava Martinez's work.
Hello, I'm Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and you're not. I'm going to talk about all the people who made fun of me because, I've never seen a garbage disposal. I've also never seen Bigfoot or the inside of a book. Actually, I just started reading a book on President Abraham Lincoln. Please don't spoil the ending for me. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Mm-hmm. And she rose to some social media stardom. She was on a Fox show where she was asked about her inspiration, what got her started in all of this.
This whole thing started by my dad and my uncle. They said that I looked like her and I talked like her, so I should make videos.
She's just more mature and well-informed. Well, news over the weekend.
So sad.
Ava, this is a tweet from her parents. Ava will not be doing any more Mini AOC content. The left's harassment and death threats have gone too far for our family. We've been getting calls on our personal phone numbers for our safety and for our child's safety. We deleted all Mini AOC accounts. Behold the tolerance and good humor of the left.
Well, the fun came to a screeching halt. And that's sad. Does Alec Baldwin get death threats because he impersonates Donald Trump on a regular basis on Saturday Night Live?
An 8-year-old girl and her family. I mean, really?
There's a Stephen Smith impersonator, a 9-year-old boy, and he's actually hysterical. He just reads when he rants. He does read. I wonder if he's getting death threats too.
Cultural Marxism is the death of humor, in case you haven't figured it out. And this is just another example of it.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, should the fireworks display at Navy Pier be banned? And let's move the Gay Pride Parade while we're at it. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Sunshine, 65 degrees. 8:31 is our time, and police are on the scene of an officer-involved shooting in Chicago's Belmont-Cragen neighborhood this morning. It's happening in the 6200 block of West Grand. The person shot was not an officer. Grand's westbound lanes are blocked while police investigate. A fatal shooting investigation is underway outside of a bar in Harvey. The shooting happened around 4 a.m. outside of the bar on Dixie Highway. Police are in the process of interviewing several people in the parking lot and in the bar at the time of the shooting. A man was killed in a crash in front of Loyola University, Chicago, right in front of the sign for the school this morning. The accident happening around 3 a.m. in the 6400 block of North Sheridan. Chicago police confirmed that a man was killed on impact. The Chicago portion of that university sign is destroyed after the wreckage had been removed from the scene. A woman in stable condition falling 40 feet at Soldier Field. Police say the victim fell from an upper level of the stadium last night as the U.S. and Mexico faced off in the finale of the Gold Cup soccer tournament. And the NTSB continuing their investigation this morning into a crash last week in Iroquois County. It killed a Tennessee woman and injured 2 Naperville residents. Raymond Jakubiak of Naperville was flying a single-engine aircraft from Nashville to the Chicago area Friday. He began experiencing engine failure and the plane caught fire after Jakubiak made an emergency landing in a wheat field near Chabance. Passenger Dorothy Stockard of Hermitage, Tennessee, died at the scene. Sox beat the Cubs ahead of the All-Star break, 3-1 guaranteed rate field. Home Run Derby, by the way, tonight gets going in Cleveland ahead of the All-Star game. Fire fell to Sporting KC on Saturday night. Cavaliers beat the Bulls in Las Vegas Rookie Summer League action, 82-75. The news is a service of Ace, the helpful place. It's the Ace 4th of July sale. Buy one, get one half off gallons of top paint like Valspar, Clark and Kensington, and Magnolia home paint with the extra mile promise. Get what you need to paint in one trip or delivery is free. Visit acehardware.com for details through July 8th at participating stores. Limit 2. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is astonished by Joe Biden.
Can you fathom how desperate you have to be as a presidential candidate who sees your front-running status kind of evaporating? It's like sand through his fingers. And he literally said, when I'm president, we'll cure cancer.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Individual results may vary. Exclusions apply.
But hey, I'm buying a huge flat screen TV so I can finally see it without my glasses.
Why not just get LASIK at the LASIK Vision Institute? That's what I'm doing.
My glasses and contacts are a pain. I'd love to finally get rid of these, but who can afford LASIK?
You can. Because the LASIK Vision Institute is offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. Just call 1-800-500-0251. The LASIK Vision Institute has already performed over 1 million procedures. They use the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for a fraction of what others charge. Better vision, better value. The LASIK Vision Institute. Make this the year you finally get LASIK. For a free consultation plus an extra 20% discount, call 1-800-500-0251. You'll see for free if LASIK is right for you. That's 1-800-500-0251.
Wow, we've been doing a lot of roofs.
And we're ready to do yours. This is Mark Olson.
And Greg Olson from Crumweedy. Okay, say it. If your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy. Remember that when you need repair or when you need a new roof.
It's so important to choose your roofing company wisely.
Here's our pitch.
Installation. It's the ball game.
We follow the manufacturer's specifications, so your warranty is totally intact. Most roofing companies don't do that.
When we give you a quote, we give you good, better, and best options. You decide.
And we're not going anywhere.
We're a third-generation family business. 65 years of doing great roofs.
We run the company on good, conservative values.
For any roofing problem or need, call your roofing guys, Crumweedy.
Do we have any special offers? Sure. Just ask. We'll take care of you.
Get all the info at myroofisneedy.com.
When your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy. 630-595-8020. 630-595-8020.
Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
8:37. In the AM 560 Traffic Center, in for Jim, here's Alverde.
Here's a look at traffic. 55 northbound, still heavy. Highway 30 to past Lockport, where an accident now has 2 right lanes blocked. And Lakeshore Drive northbound is solid from Bryn Mawr to Hollywood, where there's an accident at Sheridan, slowing things up. The Eden's inbound, that's 32 from Lake Cook Road to Montrose, 40 back out. On the Kennedy inbound, 45 O'Hare to downtown, 41 back out to the airport. Eisenhower in, that's 56, 390 to the Circle. The outbound trip will cost you 49 minutes. Stevenson in, that's an hour 10 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 47 back out. That's traffic. I'm Al Verdi. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Nice day ahead. Sunshine throughout the day. High of 82, mainly clear, and a low of 63 overnight. Currently, we have 67 degrees at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, up to 6 dead, 62 shot, according to NBC5 over the weekend in Chicago.
Wow. ABC has 68 shot, 5 dead, 4 stabbed.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Well, it's still a lot of people. I mean, think about that.
No kidding. It's just another holiday weekend in Chicago, particularly during the warm weather months. Of course, you also had this stampede at Navy Pier right after the fireworks on the 4th. And it was interesting. A lot of people thought there was gunfire because that was the false alarm that created the stampede, and that's how it was initially reported. And then the facts came later. Although, I got to give a hat tip to the Tribune.
What?
Chicago Tribune was great. They had it all squared away in advance of July 4th. They had a story, how to tell the difference between fireworks and gunshots.
Oh, it was a tutorial.
Most of the local papers around the country,
Yeah.
for their communities, the communities they serve, they give like outdoor grilling tips for the holiday weekend.
And we give outdoor shooting tips. Like, don't be scared if you hear this sound. Be scared if you hear don't
gunshots
be fearful of
versus
that.
fireworks, yeah.
But be fearful if you hear gunshots.
And it's going to be quite a challenge to Lori the Lightfoot, the transformational mayor of Chicago. Why? Because she's gay and black and female.
Who cares? She's
Triple threat.
Well, here's the thing. So it was a security guard hired by Navy Pier who thought that someone had been shot in front of Harry Carey's.
These tickets coming in right now, shots fired at Harry Carey's also. I just want to make sure I give you all this information.
Carey's, it's emptied out over there. We are here. We will check it out. Give us a call as you get them.
We'll just call Grant Porter.
635 North Lakeshore Drive, back tab. Do I have someone going for the transfer for 4183 items?
It was just chaotic. You shoved 10,000 people onto Navy Pier.
10,000.
I mean, I'm sorry, 100,000 people, or it was anywhere between 80 and 100,000 people on a Navy Pier with one way in and one way out. And so somebody thought shots were fired. They yelled, "Shots fired." There was a stampede, 18 people injured, including a pregnant woman. The one person they thought had a heart attack, another one asthma attack. It went on and on, but they couldn't get all the ambulances in because there was that stampede. When in actuality, it was 4 people stabbed.
Okay, 7-4 Grand in the bike path. We got people stampeding that way. They going northbound?
Stampede into the lake.
It's running in all directions.
All right. Well, can we try to slow them down, get them to stop running? 4181 Mary.
Good luck. But the problem also, too, that's not being reported, there was 10 missing children, and they couldn't find their parents because of the stampede.
Well, sure.
Lost children. Were any children found in all the chaos?
No, I have no report of any found children. I have a lot of report of lost children. I don't have anyone saying that they found any kids yet, okay?
Description of 2 lost children?
No, I need you to stand by on the lost kid information, okay? I'm sorry. I need you to stand by for the lost kid information, okay?
Because she had to deal with EMT and ambulances getting in. Well, it's stupid.
And?
Why? Well, because they need to cancel that event, Dan. Bring it back to Grant Park or somewhere else in Chicago, or just don't have fireworks because we can't handle the situation. Just no fireworks next year.
And we
4th of
can't
July.
afford it.
Yeah, we really
budget numbers out on Friday. The city faces $1 billion in long-term liabilities. An additional $1 billion in long-term liabilities, according to one forecast. This is for the fiscal year 2020 that transformational mayor Lori Lightfoot is going to have to deal with. I don't understand it. She's a triple threat. And yet we still have these problems. And I know it's only a couple months in, but I mean, I suggest, based on the wave of goodwill in which she entered the mayor's office, I would have thought better together. She's got a good slogan.
Right.
Everybody would come together and all of the past conflicts and problems would just dissipate. We'd be a unified people ready to tackle our challenges. The streets would be safer, the schools would be better, the job opportunities more prolific, and of course, that's also with everybody paying their fair share. So if you think that, thinking about that $1 billion in additional long-term liabilities, if you think, the taxes, the $5 billion worth of taxes passed by the General Assembly this spring were a big hit, and if you think the doubling of the gas tax, for example, if you think the coming graduated state income tax, well, in Chicago, you haven't seen anything yet. You haven't seen anything yet. And it's not just the liabilities that have been defined, it's also those that are forthcoming. Against this backdrop of her playing mayor, there's a negotiation with the Chicago Teachers Union going on. Been paying attention to this? Because, the majority of your property tax in the city of Chicago go to schools. Even though CPS is primarily funded, it's close, but primarily funded by state tax dollars. So everybody pays for CPS. And, of course, the demand from the teachers union is a reasonable 15% over 3 years.
Oh, my gosh.
They submitted a proposal for a 14% pay increase to be paid over the course of a 5-year deal. That was rejected. They want 15 over 3. It's pretty generous, considering what's the median salary CPS teacher?
The ones I know are all making 6 figures.
75 grand as of at least a couple of years ago, so it's up because it increases every year. CPS teachers are, when you adjust for cost of living, the highest paid teachers in the nation. Also, remember, the median teacher who maxes out her years of service, thus maxes out her pension benefits, will put approximately 140 grand in for her pension, of which the school district picks up 2/3 of it. They pick up 6 percentage points of the 9% that teachers contribute to their own pension in Chicago. They have for the last 30 years. So 140 grand in, of which 2/3 is picked up by the school. So it's really only, about 45 grand in. And they will get guaranteed net present value pension of $2.1 million.
I have to tell you about a couple I know in Springfield. They were both teachers for 20 plus years, retired, still live in the same house. Together, combined, they get $8,000 a month tax-free in their pension. Dan, they don't know what to do with all their money. They even said that, they are making so much money doing nothing. They feel guilty about it. And $8,000 a month in Springfield?
Yeah.
Tax-free? That's some good living. Good. Are you kidding me?
It's pretty good.
And they feel guilty about it because they don't know what to do with all the cash.
Hey, what happened to the sex abuse scandal in CPS?
The what? I'm sorry, what?
Does anybody care about that? Are we going to get to the bottom of that? Hundreds and hundreds of cases the Tribune found over just the basically 15-year period they looked. Does anybody care about kids being abused sexually in the Chicago public school system, in addition to the finances we talk about? I wonder what the conditions are in CPS. Does anybody else wonder? No? Interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend about the Providence, Rhode Island schools. And this against the backdrop of the NEA, National Education Association, the biggest teachers union, having their, whistling all the Democrat socialists before them to promise blank checks. Providence. The Johns Hopkins Institute for Education Policy was brought in to review the Providence schools. They issued a 93-page report. Peeling lead paint, brown water, leaking sewage pipes, broken asbestos tiles, rodents, frigid and chaotic classrooms, and student failure all documented in this report. This was done at the behest of the Rhode Island Education Commissioner. You think we could get that same kind of interest from the educrats in this state or city? From the report, very little visible student learning was going on in the majority of classrooms and schools we visited, most especially in the middle and high schools. Our review teams encountered many teachers and students who do not feel safe in school. There's widespread agreement that bullying, demeaning, and even physical violence are occurring within the school walls and at very high levels. No surprise then, the journal opines, only 5% of Providence 8th graders on average scored proficient in math in the last 3 years. That compares to, say, 21% in Newark, where students have similar socioeconomic backgrounds. You know what it is in Chicago, too. More from the report. Teachers did not press students to become engaged with the mathematics instruction, resulting in a variety of student off-task behavior, chatting with peers, checking phones, staring into space, some cases taking phone calls and watching YouTube videos. In English in Providence, proficiency for 5th graders, 19%, 9% in 8th grade. One student reported that my best teacher's desk was urinated on and nothing happened. Another noted a teacher was choked by a student in front of the whole class. Everybody was traumatized, but nothing happened. One district leader observed, the students run the buildings. Yeah. Does that sound familiar? You think if...
Sounds like college campuses.
Well, no. You think if the Johns Hopkins folks were invited to do the same assessment as CPS, you'd hear very similar reviews? Does anybody want to talk about that, or you just want to talk about... should it be 14% or 15% for the teachers over what duration? How are we going to fund all of these unfunded pension liabilities? Which taxes are we going to raise? Raise them all. Do it all. And then all of this, in addition to public safety on the streets, school safety inside the walls of these schools. And I've heard enough stories, not just in Chicago, about students running these schools and physically attacking teachers without consequence, because very much like Kim Fox is with violent criminals, there is no discipline with respect to violence within the school walls. The teachers' unions don't want to ruffle any feathers because they're really just interested in the cash, and teacher safety sometimes has to be subordinated to identity politics. Who wants to talk about that? The triple threat? Boy, is it going to be good enough that Lori Lightfoot is a black, female, gay person? Is that going to be good enough to solve these problems, do you think? Interesting times in Chicago, huh? Stay tuned.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
When I wasn't taking it and I was waiting for my operation, I was feeling very tired. Now I'm driving like 11, 12 hours a day. I told you I manage 15 gas stations. And I have so much energy. I even gave some of my pills for my son, and he said, Dad, this is good, so I like it. I'm healing so fast. It's like amazing. My family is so surprised because my wound closing up and doing so good. So that is working now that I'm start taking my those fruits and vegetables.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, you can receive a 30% discount and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
Oh, Permaseal, 1-800. What's the number? 1-800-421-SEAL. That's 1-800-421-7325. Because the recent rain has been keeping our friends at Permaseal very busy, and everyone with a leaky basement, dead sump pump, or flooded crawl space needs their help. And while it's tempting to choose the first waterproofer that offers a quick fix, I can tell you personally that Permaseal is worth the wait. They offer permanent solutions with lifetime transferable warranties and a price assurance guarantee. So give them a call today, 800-421-SEAL. Their professional consultants will inspect your foundation inside and out and provide a free written estimate. There's no need to worry about plain let's make a deal, as Permaseal provides standardized pricing that's simply the best value in the industry. For over 40 years, Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana homeowners have trusted Permaseal for expert advice, quality products, and the greatest value. The next time you hear storms rolling in, wouldn't it be nice to have the peace of mind that comes with a dry basement or crawl space? You know who to call. Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or permaseal.net.
My legs were awful.
I always felt uncomfortable and self-conscious.
I had never been real happy about the spider veins in my ankles and my legs.
I started noticing fatigue in my leg.
I was so self-conscious. Then I went to Vein Clinics of America.
It's time to love your legs again. Vein Clinics of America is the oldest, largest, most experienced vein treatment center in the U.S. Using state-of-the-art laser and minimally invasive treatments, they can begin restoring the natural beauty of your legs in as little as 1 hour with no downtime, and most treatments are covered by insurance.
I found the Vein Clinics of America, and look at my legs now.
You just feel like, you know what, I want to do so much today. It's such a big difference.
My experience with Vein Clinics of America was amazing.
Make sure your legs look and feel their best. Call Vein Clinics of America now to see if you qualify for a free consultation and learn how you can finally get rid of those painful, embarrassing varicose and spider veins. Call 800-514-5100. That's 800-514-5100. 800-514-5100.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, while Colin Kaepernick and the Socialist Spice Girls and Teen Vogue were hating on America over the weekend. Harry Stewart wasn't. Harry Stewart was born on Independence Day 95 years ago. On June 27, 1944, he writes, I graduated from Tuskegee Army Flying School, established in Alabama shortly before America's entry to World War II, to train young African-American men as Army combat pilots. At the controls of P-51 Mustangs, I flew 43 combat missions with the 332nd Fighter Group known as the Red Tails, infamous Red Tails. Our commander was the legendary Benjamin O. Davis, Jr., who had endured 4 years of the silent treatment from white cadets at West Point, but nevertheless managed to graduate 35th out of a class of 276. At our mission briefings, Commander Davis implored us, gentlemen, stay with the bombers. His convictions were encapsulated in his statement. The privileges of being an American belong to those brave enough to fight for them. Privileges of being an American belong to those brave enough to fight for them. African-American commander, of course, discriminated against, treated as a second-class citizen, and he, along with the other Tuskegee Airmen, fought heroically for this country. Harry Stewart continues, on Easter Sunday, 1945, I shot down 3 long-nosed 190s, the best piston fighters in the Luftwaffe inventory. That action resulted in my receiving the Distinguished Flying Cross. I was thankful that my country had given me the opportunity to fly and fight, and all these years later, I'm proud that I contributed to the cause. We called it winning the double V, victory against totalitarianism abroad and institutional racism at home. July 4th is my birthday, writes Harry Stewart, but I celebrate my country's birthday too. America was not perfect in the 1940s, and it's not perfect today, yet I fought for it then and would do so again. So I'm sorry, who do we want to hold out as the examples for young people to emulate? Who has sort of the best interests for America's future at heart? Is it Harry Stewart, or is it these race-hustling politicians? Because it's not going where Harry Stewart wants it to go, I'll tell you that. Did you see this over the weekend? The Afrofuture Music and Arts Festival in Detroit.
Oh, yeah, they had different, $20 if you're white, but only $10 if you're African-American or brown, as they said. So skin color still matters at certain places.
Tickets purchased by people of color, different than tickets purchased for non-people of color. They explained the discriminatory pricing. The event organizers. Why do we have POC, people of color, and non-POC, white people tickets? I'm glad you asked. Equality means treating everyone the same. Equity is ensuring everyone has what they need to be successful. Our ticket structure was built to ensure that the most marginalized communities, people of color, are provided with an equitable chance at enjoying events in their own community. Parentheses, Black Detroit. Some people responding, well, I'm biracial. What price do I pay?
Well, I was thinking $15.
Sure.
If you're half white and half black.
That's a solution. That's
no,
the solution
I know.
to the
The whole
problem.
thing is ridiculous, and I think it's illegal.
British hip-hop artist Zuby tweeted, festival charging different prices based on race. Well done, intersectional radicals. You've become the very racist you claim to stand against. So woke. So very woke. Compare these festival organizers and these other race racketeers to American heroes like Harry Stewart or Benjamin O. Davis. It's remarkable, isn't it? Kaepernick. There are choices to be made. Who a society extols and what a society extols, it propagates. Do you want your kids to emulate the example of Harry Stewart or of Colin Kaepernick, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Presley? You want your young daughters to grow up to be AOC? Big questions to answer in the coming months.
Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, who is
the team. The trainer for the U.S. Women's soccer team.
Don't pull a hammy. Here now is Mike Scott.
5 killed, over 68 wounded in shootings over the 4th of July holiday weekend. The NTSB investigating a plane